It is being reported that more Marines and ships are being deployed to the Middle East as the Trump administration is preparing for a ground incursion in Iran. Now, initial reports is that this would just be limited to Karg Island, which is not the main body of Iran, to secure their oil distribution and force them to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. However, Donald Trump himself has put out a statement saying we are getting ready to wind things down. So, at the same time he's saying that the United States is deploying more Marines and ships to the region, so you have to figure out what you think is really going to happen. And I'm of the opinion I think things are probably going to escalate, and hopefully they don't. But some are speculating for the 800 millionth time that this could be World War III. Yes, right. Venezuela could have been World War III. Ukraine could have been World War III. Actually, to be honest, I think there's a compelling argument that we are looking at potentially World War III, and that is, in World War II, the argument is, it was a series of battles that started, and before no one really knew that it was a world war at the time when it kicked off. And that's true for most great wars. So the argument this time is, hey guys, look, you've got the Gulf in war, you've got whatever happened in Venezuela and now with Cuba, which is destabilizing, but sort of stabilizing. There's conflict. You've got Ukraine, you've got threats against Taiwan. This looks like it could be something starting. But we don't know for sure, so we'll talk about that. More importantly, my friends, it has been announced by Democrats, Project 2029. And what is that? They're saying that they're going to arrest Trump's administration, federal agents who supported Trump, and if they can't get you on criminal charges, they will destroy you civilly. So, oh boy, it's going to be great when Democrats win the midterms. So we'll talk about that and more. Before we do, got a great sponsor. It is the Rumble Wallet, my friends. Guys, go to wallet.rumble.com. or click the link in the description below to download the Rumble Wallet. This is a non-custodial wallet. That means you can't be banned from it. They don't have control over this. You hold the money. It is Bitcoin. It is Tether. It is Tether Gold. You can trade it with whoever you want, and they can never ban you. The reason why it's important, guys, if we do enter a censorship era and debanking comes back with a vengeance, it's never gone away, mind you, but it has been somewhat suppressed. You're going to need a means by which you can transact with people where you know you're not going to get banned. That's why the Rumble Wallet is a great way to do that. You can also use the Rumble Wallet to tip your favorite creators on Rumble, like yours truly. So again, check out wallet.rumble.com, download the app. And don't forget, my friends, go to timcast.com and join the Discord. Help support the work we do directly and join the network. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And everybody here, you can help them, they can help you. Community is our strength. And as a member, you support the work that we do. So also, smash the like button right now on this video. Click the little like button. Share it wherever you can. Thanks for hanging out on this beautiful Friday night. I know you could be out partying, but you're here watching Timcast IRL, and it means a lot to me. So share the show again. And joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, we have DeVory Darkins.
How's it going? And what do you guys think of my picture on Timcast's social media account? I think I look like a gangster, no?
You did.
In a good way or a bad way?
I think so. Why don't you let us know in the chat?
And,
but I'm glad to be here again. Thank you, team.
And of course, Alex Stein's here.
The Pimp on a Blimp is here. You guys can follow me. Watch my show After Hours on Real America's Voice. But I want to say, the people in the chat, there are some haters already. If you like Laura Loomer but you hate me, that means you're retarded. So let's have a good show.
Right on. Of course, Kyla's back, hanging out.
Aloha. Yeah.
And Phil is here. Sup? And now let's talk about the news. We've got this from CBS. Trump administration making heavy preparations for potential use of ground troops in Iran. We then have this in the New York Times. U.S. dispatches Marines and warships to the Middle East. Officials said 2,500 Marines from 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit in California and the USS Boxer Amphibious Ready Group will go in April to relieve Marines already deployed in the Persian Gulf. Now, at the same time as they are saying Trump is gearing up for a ground incursion of Karg Island, Trump himself boasts we are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East with respect to the terrorist regime of Iran. 1, completely degrading Iranian missile capability. 2, destroying the defense industrial base. 3, eliminating their Navy and Air Force. 4, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. The U.S. does, he says, by other nations, blah, blah, blah. If asked, we will help these countries in their Hormuz efforts, but it shouldn't be necessary once Iran's threat is eradicated. Importantly, it will be an easy military operation for them, et cetera. We get the point. This is Trump talking about the Middle Eastern allies and trying to secure the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to go ahead and say my opinion on this one is that the war is not going well. The the independents are breaking from Trump. Republicans strongly support Trump. Democrats always oppose Trump. The question is, where are the middle of the road people? You've certainly got many prominent individuals who were on the right who are now critical of Trump and this war, but you also have 2-to-1 independents leaning away from this. They do not support these actions. And based on what we have seen in terms of deployment or announced deployments, as well as the request for $200 billion, and the fact that there's now discussions of invading Karg Island, I don't think this is going well. Trump is under a political meat grinder. He has a midterm coming up, and this is the Iranian strategy. They want to grind it out until Trump is curtailed after the midterms, and then they win effectively. I'm curious what you guys think.
I think that it's going badly. At the very least, the perception is going bad. It's going badly, right? I mean, militarily, the U.S. is achieving the goals that they're looking for, but there's also the political goal of this, which is actually the removal of the regime, it seems. And I'm not so sure that that's going to happen in any kind of time frame that the administration wants.
Well, I'm really confused because Trump has said that we've won this war 8 different times, but now he's coming to Congress asking for $200 billion. So which one is it? Have we won the war, or do we need more money?
Well, those are distinct things. The $200 billion is to replenish the munitions we have here because they sent them all over there.
Well, not only replenish, it's replenished by some new, there's like some beefing up as well.
My point is, like, whether or not we won a war, like if we won the war, they'd still need to ask for this money, or I should say want to ask for this money.
Some of the money, yeah. Because we definitely need to replete, but do we need to expand?
They'd still ask for the same amount of money.
That's probably true. That's probably true. I'm just saying.
A lot of people
get
rich at these bomb companies.
Oh, I think a lot of people could reasonably be for, updating and making sure that military arsenal stocks are where we need it to be. But I'm sure a lot of people are skeptical of the military having, what is it? What do we discover? $1 trillion. If they get it, it's $1 trillion budget.
1.5.
1.5.
Ooh. But to be fair, guys, that a lot of that is the VA fund and things. You got to break that down. How much of it actually goes to the bombs? I think that's what we pulled out.
I think that's what we pulled out. It's
$8
billion to the bombs, and if he gets $2 billion, then it's $1 trillion to like actual military arsenal assets.
I think the problem is if you're going to ask for $200 billion, can you at least pass an audit? They haven't.
Nope.
There's a lot of money missing. They can't explain it. But on the other hand, we do want our men and women to be successful. I think on the ground they've been successful, but I don't think politically it's going to be successful if it continues to drag on. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could end in the next 2 weeks, and then what?
Yeah.
Or it could drag on.
Are you guys open? I'm curious your thoughts. Like, say the audit included. So one of my biggest criticisms of how Trump's handled this is that I think it seems like the war plan is not the most effective. Do you guys want to see a plan of like, if you say that you're ending the war, how? How are you ending the war?
I know exactly.
What's the plan?
This is how he wins the war, though. He negotiates with Putin, who's Iran's biggest ally, and then he simultaneously ends the war in Ukraine while ending this war, and then it can look like he did a 2-for-1 deal.
What if Putin won't end the war?
Well, actually, he just said today that Putin's been more receptive than Zelensky in all of his negotiations.
Sure, but he's like gone back and forth on Putin, right? Like Putin's been more receptive, but Putin's still sending Iran important intelligence, right? So it's like, and Putin's been pretty clear, he's not ending with Ukraine. Like if he wants Crimea, he wants the Donbass, that's not changing. Which
he maybe get it. Maybe Trump will give it to him. They'll give him Crimea and the Donbass.
He's already got Crimea and the Donbass.
Well, he's got Crimea, but the fighting is still around in the Donbass area. And regardless how you feel about it, I can't imagine the Ukrainians are going to take that laying down. They're not going to.
They might not have a choice.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a choice. I don't think that, at the very least, I don't think Crimea is going back. He wants the port.
I agree that Crimea is a fighting thing, but regardless, it's not obvious to me because of all these moving pieces.
Well, he did take the sanctions off their oil for 30 days.
Of Russia's oil, yeah.
So that's a pretty big step.
He wants to bring
help war effort in
He wants to
Ukraine.
bring him the petrodollar. He wants to cut them back in and say, we're going to make you money and you should be working with us because you're Western.
Well, I think the petrodollar is what's in limbo right now because if all of these Gulf, states don't actually feel like we're providing them any safety, then they don't even have to use the petrodollar, and then we'd be totally screwed because we have nothing that backs our currency. So it's like, I feel like this is a very slippery slope if this thing goes even more sideways.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is, like I said earlier, this is still a military success for the United States. Like the U.S., I think that when Iran is saying that they've achieved something because they managed to hit one F-35, like that's a big deal to them, considering all the sorties that have gone over. You've got B-52s, which are not stealth aircraft. They're flying over there basically at their whim. They've got total air domination, if I understand correctly. You can't say that Iran is winning the war. The fact of the matter is the U.S. doesn't have there isn't a likelihood that the U.S. is going to achieve its political goals. And that's consistently what the U.S. has been doing. They'll achieve the military goals, but actually getting the political goals is something that has eluded the U.S. for
But that's
a long
Iran's
time.
win condition, right? If the win condition for the regime is the regime stays in power, then if America backs off before the regime has crumpled and regime change has happened, the regime is going to say, we won. It is going to likely further solidify their very antagonistic position towards Israel and America, and we're going to be left with this state that's extremely hostile towards America, with potentially concerns again about, are they going to begin just rebuilding their nuclear power?
So
Well,
do we need to crush them right now?
It's just so tough to evaluate. I think the issue is without having a proper, I think you guys said Starlink got opened for
Well,
Iran
the CIA's
today,
been
or
putting it
they're
in
thinking
there, so-
about it, right? Like, I think without regime change, I don't see how this ends, because the current regime won't negotiate with us. They are going to continue to pursue nuclear warheads, since they seem explicitly interested in that.
I think they're
and
going to
without
be
a
more
plan to regime
interested in
change.
that now. I'm saying they're going to want the nuclear
probably.
weapon a lot more now.
You're probably right
But
there.
again, so the argument is like, the favorable position is that we win this decisively, we remove the Iranian regime.
Well, but the issue is, can you do that from top-down bombing?
No, you have to do it with ground force.
Exactly. And,
So do we
well-
send in should we send in the troops?
Well, it's inevitable. They're already going to be sent
Well, hold
in.
on. I don't think we need to send in troops to accomplish that.
You cannot occupy street corners with fighter jets.
You can with nuclear bombs.
You
either in
can't.
Japan
But
or-
if
No,
you're
you
spending
can't.
1.5 trillion, we have to have the technology that
There
prevents
is no
ground troops.
technology to enforce local laws at the root level. You need boots on the ground. There's nothing about it. So imagine policing, right? We want to go in and we want to tell these people, you cannot have this form of government. Well, if we're not there to enforce what they're doing, they're going to do whatever they want.
Especially
And this is-
military
But I
police,
wouldn't do
which are
that.
loyal to the
I would be
regime.
arming the opposite party
done that
on the
too.
ground.
in the past,
Kurds
it's
all
never
over
worked.
guns. Yeah, the Kurds.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's
look,
an argument in Iran for arming because Iran is
Yeah.
very different than Afghanistan and Iraq, right? The issue is that, like in the case of the opposition, they're so beaten down by the regime. There's no coordination. They have no access to weaponry. So this is where the boots on ground comes of, like, if we hadn't started striking Iran, is there this question of, before any of this happened, could we have gotten weapons into some actual legitimate more friendly to democracy group that could have had a successful regime change? That's a big, who knows?
Well, you bring
maybe.
up you bring up Afghanistan, but there is a huge difference when you compare Iran's military, which had 900,000 people in their 3 different branches,
Yeah.
and you look at the Taliban, they had 40,000 people. So it's just going to be, and then it took 20 years to replace the Taliban with the Taliban.
But the populace is very different, right? Iran has a very
and-
highly educated, large middle class
Middle class,
populace that has a large interest in regime change, that does not like the regime, that is asking for support in shifting
So
the regime.
why don't we ask this question? Is Iraq better off today than it was when we went in?
I don't even know.
Well, the Kurds say yes, but
No, but think about their current government today. Is it better than when we went in?
I mean, maybe marginally, but I don't know enough about what's going on inside Iraq now to say definitively.
I mean,
I
what
would
was
say
the
no.
worst thing Saddam Hussein did? He did mustard gas. He mustard gas.
No. He tried trading oil with euro.
I know, and that's why
That was the worst thing
It's
he
like
did.
Muammar Gaddafi tried to do the same thing.
With
He
gold.
wanted, he wanted
He
the
was
African
he
dinar.
was brutal
yeah.
to his people as well. But
Yeah.
obviously, is that
Well,
the
but we don't
incentive
care
there?
about that. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I'm just
I list a
outlining
bunch
that
of
that's
countries that
also
are brutal to
happened.
people. The U.S. is like, we don't care about that. But if you're an oil producing nation and you're like, we want to trade with something else, we're like, then you're gonna die.
Well, the key question here is regime change possible, right? We've done it successfully in South Korea. We've done it successfully in Japan. We've done it successfully in a number of bloc countries
South
that
Korea
left
are-
USSR.
but
we can't even do regime
had an
change.
actual. They had a resistance movement. They were actually fighting an invasion.
Well,
from the
that's why
north.
Iran is interesting, because it's a lot, in many ways, it's very different than South Korea, obviously,
I'm
because
just
it's
pointing
Iran.
out that
but-
it's not technically regime change. It was supporting the existing regime.
Yeah, but in the case of Japan, it was like actual regime change,
yes.
right? And now we're their closest allies. And there's really, really good research actually that came out of the Pentagon as to like why we failed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And like these things I'm listing, like middle class, high levels of education, psychological interest of the people, like growing towards specifically the regime change that America's trying, tends to lead to more successful regime change. Whereas in Afghanistan, there was a number of areas where we like didn't work nearly closely enough with locals. We supported oftentimes like other counter-terrorist groups rather than looking for like an alternative in the middle. There was like a lot of major mission mistakes that didn't happen in other successful regime change, which poses the question, is it possible?
I want to say this
Now,
about
I don't
regime
know.
change, though. If Donald Trump thinks that he can influence regime change in Iran, but he can't even influence the regime of New York City, I think he's going to have an uphill battle. So,
Yeah, distance is a really, really
I
big
wanna,
thing.
I want to go back to what you asked. Should we absolutely destroy the IRGC? I think you have to do
You
that.
have to. You have
Because
to.
there's no reason you go in here, you spend the money, you spend the time and the resources to go there, and that's not the ending objection.
I kind of think, looking at everything that's going on, looking at the sentiment, looking at the media landscape, I wonder if the America as a hegemony is done. It's gone. There's a lot of money to be made for what we've seen over the past decade or so with global content, meaning making content that plays to a multicultural audience. The simplest form of this is these just for laugh gags videos that have been viral for a decade plus, where it's comedy bits but there's no English in it. That way it can be played for anybody. So if you're in the age of the internet and you're a business and you want to make money, especially with media content, targeting as many people around the world as possible is going to make you the most money. You're going to be imagine if some dude lived in Malaysia and just all day posted
Ian
about
Miles
America.
Chong. Ian Miles
We
Chong.
get the joke, Alex.
I thought it was a real question. I don't know.
Imagine somebody lived in Malaysia but posted nothing about American politics so they could run content in the United States, sell ads against it. The same thing is true for everywhere else. So if you can find a lowest common denominator cultural icon or item to produce content around, then, so we're seeing that with AI slop content, we see that with comedy content, but American-centric content is going to struggle against a sea of easy produced slop and global lowest common denominator content. So if you want to maximize your audience, think about subjects that get the best amount of play globally and play that. And do you think the American as a hegemonic power plays well globally? I don't think it does.
Have you heard of Strawberita, the AI slop cartoons that are super popular? Have you guys heard of it?
No.
Is it similar to the Italian brain rot that came
Exactly.
out? Okay,
It's like the
that's right. It
Italian
sounds
brain
like
rot
it.
videos, but
Yeah.
it's like they give them these terrible AI scripts. And Tim, they're getting hundreds of millions of views on TikTok. It is the biggest AI slop I've ever seen. So you're exactly right when it comes to how they can just make crappy content and people will watch it.
But that's where we're going. When you look at, again, what's happening on YouTube, and this is a big deal, we've been talking about it for quite a bit. YouTube's dead, I would argue, because functionally as a platform and a monetary machine, it's probably doing really, really well. But the amount of AI content, we don't even have to call it slop. It's just the amount of content being produced. It is becoming impossible. The line used to be that an individual needed even just a tiny bit of talent to make a video that might get some views, even to just make the video, to turn the camera on, press record, press stop. Now there's one video where a dude was explaining how he does something like 100 grand per month or 80 grand per month, working 2 hours a day by just clicking a button on an AI website and generating a video and then uploading it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I do 10 of these per day. And he's like, and I make 80 grand a month. It's like, okay, that kid is a millionaire. And you can't compete with that. We can't compete with that. Nobody can. And as much as people are going to say, I don't want it, it doesn't matter because it's what becomes available. There's going to be 700 videos that's AI trash, and there's going to be 2 or 3 legitimate conversations about war in Iran. And what's going to happen is that shows like this will not be able to survive this era. I do think there's a big shift happening. I believe the narrative machine is coming back. It's going to be impossible for independent personalities to actually express opinions on these matters. And we talked about it before, but my prediction is you had the era of free music, then you get the streaming music services where you subscribe. You had the era of free movies, and now it's just Amazon where people just click the button and buy the movie or watch it on Paramount or CBS or whatever. The same thing is going to happen to all podcasts. It's already happening. So expect, my friends, in the next couple of years, you know what? I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. I'm going to tell you exactly what the play is right now behind the scenes. You guys ready for this one? People are going to get mad at me for saying this, and maybe this is going to be bad for my career, but I'm going to tell you what the perceived plan is based on the powers that be and the rumors that are circulating in D.C. is that Joe Kent is friends with Donald Trump. Joe Kent did not resign in opposition. He did not resign because he hates Israel or he's concerned about Israel. He did not resign because he's concerned about this war. He resigned intentionally to create a bifurcation in the right to shift the political parties in the next couple of years, and he's going to run for office likely with Tulsi Gabbard in 2028. These conversations have been happening behind the scene for some time among many people in these circles. If you follow Laura Loomer, she's talked about something going on with Tulsi Gabbard, and potentially she's working with Trump very well. What I can tell you is I have heard a handful of things in the D.C. area, and that is Joe Kent didn't just all of a sudden do a 180 on Trump. This is part of the game plan. They want to eliminate woke. They want to restructure the political parties around a moderate Democrat Party and a neocon Republican Party that reflects more like the Obama-McCain years. That way you have a Democrat candidate who says, we might have to go to war, but we should bring some of our troops home. So you're going to have maybe war and yes war, and there's not going to be a strong anti-war element, despite what people are claiming right now. The play, and that's one of the reasons we're seeing this play.
Well, if Tucker runs, he's anti-war.
You should talk into your microphone.
I'm saying if Tucker runs, he's anti-war.
No, he's not. What we're hearing in
What?
D.C. I'm just going to tell you what the.
You haven't heard Tucker say
Wait,
that
but
he's
I-
against this
I'm
war?
gonna
I
tell
thought
you-
yesterday you said that the right was shifting. You said the left would be pro-war and the right would be anti-war. Have you heard something different?
No. That Tulsi Gabbard is going to be the anti-intervention Democrat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, when Tim explained this to me, I was surprised that
Okay,
Tulsi's
so
going to
you
be on the
think
Democrat
Tulsi
side.
So-
and Kent will flip to being Dems, or
So
Tulsi will flip
perhaps
to Dem
we don't,
and elect
so
Kent?
so again, I don't. All I can tell you is I've heard a handful of things from people in D.C. who work in the space that have so there's a lot of rumors, and it sounds to me based off a few things. Let me stress this: what I can tell you, I know for sure. The mandate of the corporate media right now is to buy podcasts, to absorb them into their infrastructure and put them on the front page of their streaming services. Duh. Look at what's happening with CBS. Look what's happening with TikTok. The play is the machine state wants the narrative control back, so they're flooding YouTube with AI content to suppress independent commentary and channels. They will all get very small. They'll still exist, but they won't have a big impact on the general perception of what's going on in the media. Then you're going to need to reshift the political parties so you can have, I would describe it as a Kyla Democrat Party, still kind of on the left, but more reasonable when they have a conversation, trying to make sound arguments. I respect that. But the weirder elements of woke and all of the weird gender stuff is going to slowly be pushed aside. And you're going to get a Tulsi
I'm pretty for
Gabbard
the gender stuff.
that is like moderate Dem with some social policies, but the strategy is, when she comes out, she will not say Trump is bad. She will say, I believe Trump did his best with the information that he was given. I respect him. I'm not going to speak ill of this man. He worked really hard. However, I think this. And again, the play is they're going to restructure the narrative machine. The conversation is meant to look more like it did 20 years ago and less like it did in the 2010s. They don't want culture war insanity. They are trying to bring it all back together. So again, let me put it like this. The rumors that I'm hearing, and this could be all just nonsense, but from staffers and lobbyists and people in D.C. is the play that's happening right now. Like, why is Tucker Carlson all of a sudden saying, oh, this is bad, I oppose this, when only several years ago he was like, Iran is a serious threat.
People can't change their mind.
He can, but he's friends with Trump, and this is the game plan.
He's better friends with Vance.
Indeed. And the game plan is,
And
if you want to win this, that you need controlled opposition. There should be an acceptable Democrat and Republican Party. And with the Democratic Party and woke being largely unfavorable, they are going to try and create a moderate space that will attract the likes of Joe Rogan, because you know he loves Tulsi Gabbard. And then you're going to have Joe Rogan in a couple of years being like, I thought the Democrats were nuts. However, Tulsi Gabbard comes back in, and now we have real leadership for the Democrats. I think they can win. That's the game plan.
But
this
can she-
prevents culture war, civil war expansion, and allows for the military-industrial complex and the pro-Israel element to maintain their wars and the liberal economic order.
Who do you think is all behind? Because this is a lot of really, really, really big pieces moving, and there's also an assumption that the Democrat base would ever consider. Like, I understand you're saying the moderate rights right now it shift back to being the moderate left and vote for Tulsi, but you won't win anything without the Democrat base, and the Democrat base is never going to go for Tulsi. Anyone
I
who's
disagree.
touched Trump,
Yeah, I don't know if that.
I disagree.
the Democrat
agree with
base
Tim.
hates Trump so
Yep.
vehemently. Anyone that's touched him, anyone that's in their minds been sycophantic and bootlicking, they're not going to touch.
The question's going to arise for your corporate Democrats. Who will they get more votes from, the moderates or the progressives? And the play is
The moderates,
to
but-
basically ice out the progressives.
But Gavin
That's
Newsom's
why,
already
again,
moving towards the
That's why
moderates.
AIPAC supported all of these Democrats and won in Illinois to get rid of the progressives.
Sure.
So again, I'm going to stress this. I can tell you this definitively because these people have said it to my face. The mandate for the corporate press right now is to buy up podcasts and take this All of these independent podcasts that exist are going to be pulled into HBO, Paramount, Netflix, whatever it might be. It's already happening. Sean Hannity launched a podcast. Netflix has a podcast section. They had a meeting in Florida where all these people got together and discussed how they get into space. It is the corporate mandate. NBC Universal is having these very same conversations right now. Don't take my word for it. Larry Ellison just bought CBS, and they're working on purchasing CNN right now.
Well, that was my question. Are you saying
this
that
game
this
plan.
is coming from Ellis? Why is Ellis interested in would be interested in Tulsi Gabbard? And why would Tulsi be able to make a better bid for the moderate, Democrat vote than somebody like Gavin Newsom, who's making a pretty hard movement towards trying to connect?
So is
with
and don't forget about AOC.
But don't forget about J.D. Vance, right? So these elements are at play. But again,
who does Trump support?
I'm not entirely sure.
Rubio.
I think Rubio is the actual player for 2028.
This would soft require throwing Trump under the bus a little bit.
Well,
I don't
Trump's
think
going to
so.
get impeached probably. So
Trump's going to get impeached, and there's even speculation that Trump might actually step down early, so that Vance gets in as president for a little bit before Rubio takes the opportunity for 2028. Again, I don't know for sure. What I can tell you is this: there have been rumors around D.C. for a while that Tulsi Gabbard was preparing to resign, and she was going to start doing PR moves where she views Trump respectively so that she can maintain moderates. She's not going to play the Trump derangement syndrome game. She's going to say that she respects him. He's a good guy. The Democrats were wrong to go after him, but the war is wrong. We shouldn't be involved. And she's going to play the regime change thing.
Yeah, but you can flip once. You can't flip twice. That's like career suicide.
You know what?
Democrat-
Even if it wasn't,
even a flip twice.
even if it wasn't her, their strategy actually makes sense to me, because at least you get rid of the progressive side of politics, which I think is the most radical thing on the planet. And so if this is what they're thinking, if this is what they're planning, it sounds like a nice little strategy, because even if Tulsi loses, if she is the person, that still means it doesn't go to the progressive side like Gavin Newsom.
But who's they? Who's they? Who's the person at the top or the collection at the top making these decisions that are unified enough to do
Larry
this?
Ellison is a big Trump supporter and Trump fan.
Miriam Adelson.
Right, which is
Miriam
why
Adelson wants the
I'm
West
going,
Bank.
why would Ellison fall in line under Gabbard?
So if a Tulsi Gabbard candidate is if your choice, if Larry Ellison's looking at who his choice is going to be, and it's got to be a Republican like Trump or some wackaloon lefty, he's going to be like, can we get a Democrat in there that's not a threat to us?
Like Rubio or Newsom. I have a feeling that I feel like he would probably go for Rubio, right?
There's going to be a Republican and a Democrat, and they want the Democrat to be someone who's not a threat. They want moderately pro-war and pro-war.
They being
Trump's inner circle, the donor class, the people who are buying up these media platforms and changing the narrative on them.
sure, but
You're saying your point is
Corporate elites.
they don't want batshit crazy.
a
they
lot
don't
of
want
corporate
progressive
elites
People are sick of the
hate
trend.
each other.
So
Weird,
here's
yeah.
the issue. They want pro-Israel. They want some kind of Israel ambivalent or pro-Israel.
All of them? Because I feel like a
Israel
lot of
and
corporate elites, it feels like right now what we're seeing is the battle of the billionaires. You've got kind of the Musk and the Teals on one side, and then
And
you've
Elon
got
Musk is pro-Israel.
yeah, and you've got the
And Larry Ellison is
Soroses,
pro-Israel.
and you've got the Gates on the other side that are very at contention with each other.
Bill
And it's not-
Gates is pro-Israel.
yeah, but
And indeed, maybe these people do not like each other. So the play in D.C. with Trump, again, I'm going to stress this. This is the rumor that I'm hearing. I don't know if any of this is true. Joe Kent maybe is just doing whatever Joe Kent feels like. They want to take control of the middle of the road Democrat position. They want war, and they know that the war with Iran is going to be bad for moderates. So they want to take control of a moderate Democrat space.
with the goal of putting
The goal is your choices for president in 2028 will be kind of pro-war and pro-war.
So bad and worse.
gotcha.
The way it's always been.
Yes, well-
Again, the way I look at it is
going back to
Trump
status quo.
could have
it is
been
being
good.
viewed largely by these donors and these elites that we must have a narrative machine the way we did back in the 90s or the 2000s, where when we say we're going to war for the petrodollar, we do not get media opposition.
Hence why they should be buying up all of these podcasts.
And that's what they're already doing, or drowning them out with AI slop content, or buying TikTok and banning certain voices. So again, I point this out in perhaps there are grand conspiracies I don't know about, or maybe there's not really, and there's just a handful of powerful elite billionaires that are making moves to make this happen.
There's definitely
But-
some conspiracy.
Well, conspiracy implying criminal wrongdoing. What I'll say is this. We know for a fact Ellison purchased CBS. They're making a bid for Warner Brothers, which would give them CNN as well. And we know that they're part of the group that is acquiring TikTok explicitly because of Israel. TikTok had a massive amount of anti-Israel content.
84% pro-Palestine.
Pro-Palestine, and this is not a conspiracy. This is not meant to be a shock content or conjecture. We know for a fact that Republicans wanted to ban TikTok because the content was more progressive. Democrats said no. Then when Axios put out this report showing that the majority of the content after October 7th flipped to pro-Palestine, all of a sudden all the Democrats were on board. And they said, yes, we should ban TikTok. Trump's strategy was not to stop the ban of TikTok, although that's what it looked like, and all these young people were cheering for him. Trump's strategy was, there's a better way to do this. You ban it, people get mad. We sell it to pro-Israel American interests, we win. Just off of TikTok alone, I think it is fair to see the play for every Democrat, every Republican, and the investors is take control of the media and pro-Israel, and the narrative will be pro-Israel.
So what's
Like,
worse,
why?
a Chinese-owned TikTok or pro-Israel-owned TikTok?
I guess the troubling thing is you at least have some recourse in the United States.
American, yeah,
With an
just an
American-owned
American-owned
company.
company. I'm trying to like see the through line of like what the goal
China
is
wants
here.
to
Feels
pull-
like
so let
we
me
have
first
to
ask you
throw
this.
Trump under the bus necessarily.
You do know that they purchased TikTok because of this,
Yeah,
right?
no. I
Yeah,
agree that the
that's
Ellis
a
brothers
fact.
have been buying up all sorts of their
CBS, they're going to get CNN with the
swallowing
Warner
it.
Brothers merger as
Yep,
well.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all of that. I'm just trying to go, if he's so pro-Trump, why wouldn't he just pivot? If he's got this good thing with the right, it feels like there's a lot of still like motivated energy behind it. I understand Iran's not popular, but just why don't you just have Marco Rubio come out and be like,
They are
man, like,
going to have Marco Rubio.
but why wouldn't they get him behind him? That's what I'm trying to
They
understand.
are behind him.
They're behind both.
You know what controlled opposition is?
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
plan.
saying, why would anyone think that Tulsi Gabbard is going to successfully run in a Democrat base?
She's not expected to win.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. She's just
When
there.
your choice
Yeah.
is pro-war or pro-war.
Right.
Or I should say, like, Tulsi's going to be the moderate, but it's also this.
Okay.
It's
Yes,
it's
say
a
this
hedge.
is all true.
It's
How
a-
do you
it's a
feel about
hedge.
that? How do you feel about that? How do all of you guys feel? Like, say all of this theory.
I don't know. I guess
is
it just
true.
is, right? Like all of my life until Trump won, this is what it was. You could not go on TV if you opposed the war in Iraq. They wouldn't let you on. All of these anti-interventionist personalities, they were just on little microblogs on the internet that didn't matter. Well, whether it was intentionally or otherwise, these channels got really big. Alex Jones got nuked. He was doing over 100 million uniques per month, and he was making an insane amount of money, so they ban him outright. Nick Fuentes starts getting really popular, they ban him outright. All of a sudden then, you have several high-profile, prominent conservatives who were friends with Trump flip, and now all adopt similar positions around the exact same time. Now, I will say it's entirely possible that there is a global or cultural zeitgeist where this is the content that makes money. This is what people are going to chase. So you can call Tucker, Megyn, Candace, and whoever else grifters who are just trying to make money. And maybe that's really just what it is. But I do think it's interesting that they all shift their positions at the exact same time, despite being friends with the Trump family and the administration.
Yeah, but it feels like the way you're talking about it, I feel slightly negatively, I guess, about this. Like, I'm curious from a conservative side, like when you guys hear like the conservatives are maybe, let's just say all this is true. How do you guys as conservatives feel about that happening within your movement?
Well, it sounds like we're living on borrowed time then.
In what way? Like, what do you
No,
mean?
this is it then.
Well, MAGA is on
no,
life
this is
support.
it.
This is
like this
but what's
show-
borrowed? Like for show
Our voices,
privacy?
this show, this independence that we
Independence?
have to have alternative voices, we're living on borrowed time then.
I think we were always living on borrowed time. I think the idea that there would ever truly be a permanent decentralized network of commentary and podcasts was silly. I mean, in 2018 they were banning people left and right and then lying about it. In 2020 you couldn't even say, I don't know if we need masks. You'd get banned for it. You couldn't even say, I think the virus may have come from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is a mile away from the wet market. They'd ban you for that too. So we've dealt with wave after wave of censorship, and we've only had in the past couple of years a semblance of some kind of free speech.
So,
but just really quick.
Yeah.
But do you believe even if that happens, the opposite must take place too, sooner or later?
What do you mean?
A cause and effect.
What do you mean?
Meaning, before Trump, you had the media the way that it was.
Yep.
But because of that, Trump comes along and the opposite happens. Will that happen again?
Well, it depends on the change in media, right? So we had there's a couple of theories on it. So I'm actually friends with the individual who started Obama's Facebook campaigning, which many contribute to his victory. He's mobilizing young people on social media. And the perception is, or at least what this individual has told me, when the campaign was told to use social media, this is like 2007, 2008, like no one really knows what's going on with it, but young people are on it. The older crowd, the boomers and the Gen X were like, why does this matter? And it's kind of like the Blockbuster phenomenon. They take a look at, actually, let me phrase it like this. You can't move until it's too late, right? So Blockbuster, for instance, is the biggest game in town in video rentals. Netflix, I believe Netflix was founded before Google was. It was like 1997 or something. And they originally would mail DVDs to you. It was kind of weird.
Gamefly or something like that?
Yeah, and well, that was, I don't know if that's the same company.
Oh, yeah.
But then they had some streaming on their website. But some movies were only available for for distribution. Netflix apparently was like, buy us, Blockbuster, and Blockbuster was like, no. The issue is 80% of video rentals are at the video store. And so Blockbuster is saying, look, we may be shrinking, but we're not going to allocate resources at a lower margin to a new market. No one does. So the same thing is true for the internet. The powers that be look at the internet and say, listen, we're getting 20 million viewers per night on CNN. Why should we bother with Facebook? And then 2 years later, it's 10 million. Then 2 years later, it's 5 million. And then all of a sudden, Alex Jones is dictating policy effectively. And so that is one theory that we went through this period. We've gone through multiple periods where you had, as I mentioned, the Napster phase where music was basically free. Then they wrapped it up into subscriptions and they got their money back. Then you had Mega Upload where movies were free. Then they wrapped it up into subscription services or Amazon, and now they got their money back. Now you have the political commentary and social media space where people are affecting the political worldview, and they're going to wrap that back up, put in a subscription service, and get their power back.
But so I guess I feel like I'm not going to answer this. If I heard this, like my own side, people that I supported to some degree, are moving in such a way to further crush free speech and control the narrative, my answer goes, that's not good. I like free speech. So, and I think you guys, that's like what you're big on in the show. So how do you feel about that? Like, I feel like the answer isn't, well, guess we roll over and like take it up the bum. It is what it is. Like, how do you guys feel about the fact that in many ways it sounds like you're hearing that your own side, that in many ways you supported.
My own side.
Well, you've supported Tulsi Gabbard in the past,
I would
right?
argue that the establishment powers and the millionaires and the billionaires have never been anyone's side other than the elites and the powers
So
that
you
be.
supported Trump, right? And you've supported his selection of administration. I'm
And
assuming
it
all of
may
you. I'm
actually
assuming.
be that it's all one big happy family tree, son.
It
That's
might be.
actually
Exactly.
the argument.
Wait,
it might
the
be.
argument-
Like the free speech crushing might be good for us?
No.
It's
like-
that they're all basically saying, why are we fighting?
Right.
Let's just be rich and control this. What do we need to do?
Yeah,
But that seems bad, right?
Yes, it's
Yes,
bad. But, then
of
that-
course
But how do you guys feel about that? Being
Bad.
that it's your
We
side.
literally-
So
that's
what do you
what
guys
we
want to
said.
do?
Wait,
Yes. Thank you. But what do you guys want to do?
But again, why do you keep saying your side?
Because I'm not on the right. I don't support
The media
Gabbard
companies
or
are
Kent
not
or
on our
Gabbard.
side and never have been.
Sure, I
They
understand
are not on
that.
the right
But
either.
Sure, but
Kylie,
you're describing.
you've heard
Warner
the,
Brothers is not
can
the
I
right.
respond? Because if I'm going to be 2v1, I have to be able to respond.
No,
right?
no. You have made an accusation over and over again that the corporate media is on the right. It is not correct.
I've never said that the corporate media is
You
on the right.
just said it's your side
no,
doing it. As we
your
described, the
side,
corporate media
as described,
is purchasing
Tim,
podcasts.
No. What you said is Marco Rubio will be the one that Ellis is in support. Tulsi Gabbard will be the moderate, slightly pro-war, but not totally pro-war. She's the controlled opposition that they're putting forward. But all this is being organized in many ways, it sounds like, by people who are supporting Republicans, in behind Republicans, and believed in the Republican vision. So what you're saying is a lot of people that in many ways were part of your coalition, whether you like them or not, are in many ways now moving against your own selves to crush free speech. And my question is, what do you do about that? If your theory is true?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't think there is an
What do you
answer
do
to
about
that. I don't. I would say I don't know.
Support opposition, right? Support people who want corporate PAC money out of things.
But the actual the reality is supporting opposition is supporting people that want to jail people that supported Trump, right? And people that would speak out against.
Let's do
against the left.
this, Phil.
Like
Let's
the
jump to this.
option-
Let's jump to the story from Fox News. Pritzker pushes prosecutions of Trump officials as part of Democrats' Project 2029 agenda. So this seems to be the world that we're looking at. Some kind of elite civil war that's been going on for some time. The powers that be. Let me just start the segment by saying this. If you believe that the Trump side of things has not been preparing for the world after Trump, I've got a bridge to sell you. At the same time, if you believe Democrats are not preparing for a strategy to win, then I've got a bridge, another bridge. I got 2 of them actually. In fact, I got 7. You can have all of them for one great discount. It looks like the Democrat strategy that exists today is lock them up and destroy their lives civilly. The Republican play seems to be, we need to create, there's 3 spaces right now. The Democrats hate the right, the Republicans hate the left, and the middle of the road people are flickering left and right on various issues. Sometimes they lean left on a lot of issues. They've been leaning right on a lot of issues. And so the play is, how can we make the left and the right, the moderates are the left and the Republicans are the right? And then the Democrats and the progressives just are not strong enough as a coalition to actually win anything. The Democratic Party will then have no choice but to pander to moderates. The Trump administration will then be safe, or I should say, Trump officials after 2029 will not have to worry about whatever this thing is that Democrats are planning to do.
I just want to go back to one thing. So, would you agree with control opposition if it meant getting rid of stuff like this?
Me?
Yeah.
I am
don't know.
never
That's a tough
I am
question.
never I am never for the erasure of liberal like fundamentals. No, we don't.
That's not fundamentals. That's
This is lawfare.
Well, crushing free speech isn't good either.
Like
so,
this?
this could be a weaponization of the DOJ. This could be legitimate prosecution.
The idea
right?
that this will not turn
No, Pritzker-
into a witch hunt is completely
Pritzker
farcical.
literally said, if we can't get them criminally, then we'll get them civilly.
DeSantis
if it is the case that they've done something wrong, right?
No,
I mean,
no. That's not what civilly means.
yeah.
Well, civilly can mean that you can't just brutally
It means
torture people.
I will purport you did something wrong, but you didn't because you'd go to jail if you did something wrong, right? Civil is a dispute between 2 individual parties, and they're going to bog you down in court and drain your funds.
Sure.
Civilly is a threat of lawfare explicitly.
Yeah. I don't know much about Project 2029. So it really depends on what it actually comes to be forming. But in general, I'm not a big fan of large group pre-presidential plans like Project 2025 that get built up by a bunch of self-interested think tanks
Right. Well,
that
they're
then
doing
get
it
rolled
too,
for people.
so-
I don't like any
This
of
is-
these
this
things
is just
necessarily.
civil
I'm with you,
territory
but I'm
stuff.
just posing a question.
But you guys are saying, I guess we roll over for the control
no,
opposition
no,
and
no,
crushing.
no, no,
You
no.
guys said, I don't know what we do. And I said, well,
That doesn't mean roll over.
what do you do?
Well, you continue to do shows
it
like
is possible
this.
that you can identify something as wrong without knowing what to do, how to
I
change
agree.
it.
I agree. But I feel
that's
like
not rolling over.
There's,
kind of the point
there's
of the
nothing
show.
that comes to mind. There's nothing that we go, what is the way? How do we look for example, in the upcoming elections, regardless of party, the candidates who
Well-
we think that's somebody that we can get in behind? And how do we
I-
leave behind these party ties to get good officials
Right.
in?
I'm gonna go back to what DeVory just said, and you know what? There's a certain point where I learned this from the left, the Karl Popper meme. I learned this from them, and you know what? I think they were right. Sometimes you cannot tolerate intolerance, and so we should use every means at our disposal to make sure anyone who threatens this is removed or barred from power.
Well, what about your current president weaponizing the DOJ against Jerome Powell and having multiple subpoenas blocked by federal cases? I'm
gonna repeat literally what I just said. And I saw this comic book about Karl Popper where the left argued, use whatever means necessary to stop your political opponents. And for years, I and many others said, well, we shouldn't resort to that. And then we got beaten to a pulp, and I said, you know what? They were right about that. If someone's punching you in the face, sooner or later, you got to say stop.
Yeah, I started my career in 2022, and I started fighting other lefties who said, the Republicans are ontologically evil. To them, we can do no bad things. And I said, that's evil. That is evilness. We're already giving up the game.
They
right?
still
So
say that.
If there are certain Democrats
It's
that
self-defense.
want to break liberalism, that want to break more of the Constitution to get retribution to the conservatives that they are mad at, I am opposed to that fundamentally, and I always have been.
Well, I want to make this
I would
point,
say it's
Kyla. It was
self-defense.
DeSantis that made anti-Semitism speech laws in Florida, so conservatives will limit the First Amendment.
I agree, right?
Yeah.
This is why I think being a party diehard in either direction is really dangerous, right? But I think we have to look at, okay, if we know that Trump is already weaponizing the DOJ and you guys agree that that's bad, right? And we go, that's not a good thing. I don't know if the next thing is we go, well, if they're moving towards a Marco Rubio who also wants to crush free speech and they're already actively
that
right
Rubio
now
wants to do that.
weaponizing the DOJ, I don't know. The answer shouldn't be, well, I just don't know.
Let me ask you a purely hypothetical.
Sure.
There are 2 people with guns pointed at each other. You have a button that if you press it, their guns will disintegrate. Do you press it?
Yes, if this isn't, I just don't know if this is analogous to the situation. Do you want to tell me how it's analogous?
Yeah, the point is we have two powerful political factions that are escalating the attacks against each other. And do you stop them? Or do you just say, no, let them all keep doing this? Like, the Democrats might win, and then they're going to weaponize everything. Trump's weaponizing everything. Just let it keep happening.
Well, no.
Or do we shut it down?
I think what we do, for example, is like recognize that a democracy needs a strong left and a strong right. This is why when I'm in a lot of liberal spaces, when, for example, like Ben Shapiro is standing up saying there do have to be lines of who's in the tent. We go, that's good, right? I don't have to like any of Ben Shapiro's policies. You guys, I don't know how you feel about Ben Shapiro, and I'm not saying you have to, but we have to look at people who are saying we must play by the rules of the Constitution if you believe in democracy and if you think that this nation's beautiful experiment of America is something worth fighting for, then you have to find the politicians and the speakers and the pundits who do this, like myself. There are people like me.
I just want to ask something. Like you've studied a lot of philosophy, right?
Today?
No. I just mean like you talk.
Yes, today.
You make a lot of references to philosophers and
yeah.
you know these questions.
I love philosophy.
So you bring up the Constitution, but you must be aware that is not an argument to anything you're saying. Let me just elaborate.
First Amendment.
Blasphemy was illegal when the First Amendment was ratified.
Is this just the argument you can amend away rights?
The left's idea of what is protected under the Constitution is fundamentally different from the right. And how each culture interprets the Constitution determines whether or not they believe it's being adhered to. So when you say, we must adhere to the Constitution, which one?
I would say this is where the Rawls veils of ignorance is so useful, is you go, imagine you're in a society and you can't know where you're going to fall. What are the rules that you want in place
I want
ahead
a machine
of time?
gun.
Well, I want due process.
Agreed.
Right? That's
Define
really
due
important.
process.
Due process means that you are assumed not guilty until proven otherwise.
That is not what due process means.
Okay, due process, that's part of all of due process.
Due
that you get
process
the process
is
of pushing
Right to a
against
trial.
allegations against you.
No. Okay, I'm going to clarify for you. Due process refers to the legal process an individual of their particular circumstances are due under the law.
Fair under the law.
That doesn't mean innocent until proven guilty, because due process can refer to civil cases all the same.
Okay.
It can refer to
then
executive branch
both of
decisions.
These things. I want both of these things then. I want due process
Okay,
and I
now
want
hold
an
on, hold
assumption
on.
of not guilty.
Once again, when you say due process, it means something different to the left than it means to the right.
Yes, but it also still means some level of both saying we want fair treatment. I agree that
Now let's pause for a second.
Well, hold on. I agree that principally the left and the right are going to fight about what the way that policy plays out. But at least we can both agree that policy matters. Whereas right now we're moving in a direction where we're saying, well, maybe free speech doesn't matter. And I would say we might have different interpretations of what free speech should be protected.
First and
but
foremost,
free speech must matter.
The best example is the current process due to an illegal immigrant who has an order for deportation is to be taken into custody and immediately deported. The left argues the process that should be due is a judicial hearing where he can argue his case.
Yes.
But that is not the legal due process for an illegal immigrant.
I don't believe that this is true.
It is absolutely correct. The executive Congress has delineated all powers on immigration through the INA to the executive branch, and that's why the executive branch has talk to Pisco about this. That's why the executive branch has executive branch courts. There are judges that are not. That's why the left has been saying judicial warrant all the time, because the executive branch can issue an administrative warrant under Congress.
Sure, but the issue is you're saying, look, these are ways that we can interpret due process differently.
That's not interpretation. That's the law right now.
Okay, regardless, what I'm saying to you is, are you saying that we don't have due process as a principle, at least, that we
I am
fight
saying
for?
that what the left considers due process is incongruous with what the law actually says.
What conclusion can we possibly take from that claim, Tim?
When a leftist says, I want due process, we must ask them, what do you mean by that? And then you come to discover the left and the right have completely different worldviews on what that word actually
So
means.
your answer is, we actually can't do democracy anymore.
No.
Is that your answer?
Okay, Kathy Newman.
Well,
No,
don't call me Kathy Newman.
No, hold on.
Don't call me Kathy Newman.
I know, it's an offense,
wait,
right?
hold on. I'm trying to say, Tim, stake a position. What are you saying? Because I'm talking about democracy. I'm talking about the
I
values
said
that we
it.
hold, which is what?
No, I
The
think
Constitution,
it is.
DeVory,
Yeah, thank you. It is democracy, what you are describing, where one side is interpreting the U.S. Constitution differently than the other side.
And we fight about it, and we often have to engage in some level of compromise. That's the point. The conservatives want to conserve, which is their role.
Except when both sides are getting too extreme to the point where it's going to rip this country apart.
I agree.
And they're going to shoot each other.
I agree. And so the question that I still have to pose as people who want to at least agree with these principles of free speech, of due process, though the way that I think of free speech and the limits that we have around it might be different than you, we still both value free speech. And I say, how do we of course we do. Of course you value free speech.
People
and of
on the
course
left
I value free speech.
You don't think so, Jim?
I absolutely do not.
Maybe with the pandemic they wanted to shut us down, but I think generally the majority.
I know,
They definitely
we're going to
value
go
free
to like
speech.
root philosophical moral philosophies. A society, a social body with a shared moral worldview can agree we all believe in free speech. Then they ratify it in their constitution and arrest anyone who says Jesus is not Lord. That's not free speech by today's standards. At the same time, the left that says we want free speech has arrested people for hate speech far and wide. There's a guy who got arrested for rap lyrics on Facebook. The right has argued, no, we should be allowed to say these things. We should be allowed to post rap lyrics. There is not a unified moral view on what free speech is, and there never has been.
Sure, but
additionally, I will add to that, the Second Amendment has never historically meant that anyone anywhere can carry guns. It meant the federal government couldn't impose a law over the states to stop an individual from carrying a weapon. But routinely in the 1800s, men would ride on horseback in a town and the sheriff would say, hand over your guns. The view of what is the Constitution shifts dramatically all the time.
Of course.
And the left and the right are so divergent in this, it's extreme.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that these things can't be unified. I guess my question to you is, what's the conclusion from what you're saying?
The right Constitution I would define as the traditional American constitutional republic, and the left constitution is a multicultural democracy. So I don't care what words are used by each other, but they are entirely advocating for two different worlds. It has come to the point where they are threatening force against each other and exercising that.
Yes.
I believe we should, whatever means necessary to stop this escalation needs to occur. Unfortunately, neither side will back off. That means if Donald Trump pulls a move with powerful investors and billionaires to create a new Democrat-Republican spectrum, the progressives are not simply going to say, guess we lose. They're going to get guns and they're going to go shoot people.
Sure.
I don't know what the off-ramp is for all of this, but I can tell you, when Pritzker is saying, we will arrest, and if we can't, we'll destroy you civilly.
Okay.
Did you know that right now, there's a hilarious story from SFGate, hundreds of millionaires, and this meant like hundreds, this is a large number, there are services that exist to facilitate the exodus from this country right now because of things like that. It is not a question of if you are a political player. There is a fear among high net worth individuals that the Democrats are going to Bolshevik your ass.
Sure.
Even if you are neutral.
On the left, when Project 2025 came out, it was the exact same type of terror and fear because both
Who was 2025
sides.
going to go after?
Project 2025 had a lot of things that a lot of the left viewed as shrinking of rights, shrinking of rights of
Apolitical,
vulnerability
wealthy
groups.
individuals are fleeing, not Republicans, because they fear that the Democrats are going to swing the hammer against anyone.
And they fear it because
both sides are going to be further radicalized.
They fear it because,
yes.
they fear it because the ballot measure in California, because of what's going on in Washington State, and because there's Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders talking about that same kind of policy nationwide.
So this is the thing that I'm getting confused by. You keep on saying this situation at hand and that both parties are going to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and we're basically engaging in like brinksmanship. And I'm saying to you, what's the conclusion that we take from that?
Civil war?
Well, my conclusion is I don't want a civil war because I don't want a bunch of mostly young men dying for this. I think that that's the worst outcome. I look at this and I go, this is the issue. That's not the answer because both sides
then
insist. Well, one of the things that can't be the answer is insisting that it's just the left or insisting that it's just the right. That can't be the answer.
So who's going to lay down their arms?
I'm trying to.
So the answer is fairly obvious, isn't it?
It's actually not because
You
the
think
future
that these Trump
isn't set.
officials are going to be like, guess I go to jail?
No. I don't think Trump officials are going to change, but there might be noble, meaningful, good conservative and
after J6.
Republicans. That's terrifying that you believe that and you've been supporting that side.
Who said supporting what side?
You are obviously supporting Trump. You obviously support conservatives. This
What
is
does that have
obviously
to do
true
with what we're talking about?
Because you said that none of this matters. Any rule of law, any values of what we've built our
No, we're not saying
system
anything about the
and
rule of law.
Constitution on. Yes, we
No, you're
are
straw
talking about
manning.
these things. I'm talking about all
I'm
of
saying
these
there
things.
are two distinct factions that are ready to tear each other to shreds, and
Yes.
nothing's going to stop it.
And I'm saying if that is the exact belief that makes it inevitable so. And both sides are saying that right now.
Some things
and
are
I'm
true.
trying to
I
say,
think-
I want to put
Yeah.
my gun down.
Yeah.
That's why I talk to you guys.
No, I get what you're saying. I just think the reality is it's going to happen because that is the life cycle of a country.
Listen,
The future's
not a
never
single
set.
Republican will ever tolerate trans kids.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
They don't have to in their
I
state.
just
They
wanna make
don't
this
have to in
point.
their state.
Let me give you an example that I've cited quite a bit. Oklahoma has banned abortion outright.
Yep.
Colorado has passed abortion to the point of birth for any reason, elective. A potential scenario that I've given would be a woman is 6 months pregnant and she lives not too far from the border of Colorado. She decides, so in her mind, she says, this man is abusive and I have this child with him. It's going to be a world of nightmarish pain and it could be harmful to the child. I can't bring a child in this world, so she flees. The man's perspective is, I am not abusive, I've never touched her. And she just kidnapped my child to kill him and she doesn't need to. So what happens when she seeks to cross that border to get an abortion? You have two states with polar opposite worldviews. It will not be tolerated. We already saw, I think it might have been Arkansas, they tried to have a woman hunted down because she fled the state with a friend to get an abortion. And they said, it might not have been Arkansas, I can't remember which state it was. They said that it was a conspiracy to break the law and therefore they needed to stop her.
Sure.
At what point, I mean, maybe the argument is that a kid gets taken by a stranger and brought to Washington to get a sex change, and the parents go, well, that's life, I guess. I don't see that as being a reality. I think the parents are going to be like, lock and load, mother. We're going to town.
Sure, I agree. The issue is that the idea that our country, like it sounds like what you're saying is the conclusion that you're saying is our country isn't going to continue to exist as a democracy as we've known it. And I'm saying
It isn't a democracy.
whatever version of America that we have now.
No.
where we vote-
I'm not making a semantic debate over constitutional republicanism. I'm saying since Trump's election, we have not functioned in any real democracy. And one could argue that we haven't since the liberal economic order. But my point is, Donald Trump wins, and they claimed for years he was propped up by Russia, even arguing the votes were flipped by Russia, and then launched an investigation and ultimately impeached him. Then when Trump loses in 2020, the right says Joe Biden, the Democrats, stole the election. There is no belief on either side that there is a functioning democracy right now.
Sure, but part of that comes down to we are under threat from when you look at Russiagate, for example, there weren't connections that could be made to Trump, but there were, I believe, 12 Russian individuals that were arrested that had found to hack multiple sites and that were actually engaging
And
in
how many
election
Ukrainians
integrity
did we
issues.
arrest for manipulating the election in favor of Clinton?
I'm not sure. Do you
Zero.
know the answer?
Zero.
Well, hold on. Did they get investigated?
Yes, and instead they arrested Paul Manafort instead of the Ukrainians.
Was he guilty?
And then Paul Manafort?
Was he? I don't know. I'm not familiar
Well,
with the
again,
case.
it's going to fall back to when the Democrats took power, knowing that they'd been propped up by the Ukrainians, they arrested a Trump ally and then told us he was guilty. And if you're a
Okay.
Trump supporter, you're going to say, that's BS. No one will believe it.
Sure, but you already basically said after J6, democracy's basically
Before
over.
J6. I mean, J6 was a product of people believing democracy was over.
Sure, and so the question is, the conclusion cannot be, and maybe you just want to, I guess, toss the country to the wolves and say it's over. I don't think that that's what we should fight for, because
I
a
don't-
lot of good
yeah,
people
I'm
will
saying,
die
I don't
if we
think
do.
it's over. I just think this has to play itself out ultimately. And again, going back to what
My
Tim
favorite
said,
story here.
If a president of the United States, along with his CIA director and other ICs, are making up manufactured intelligence to try to prosecute someone who's trying to get elected as president, yeah, I don't think we have a
We don't have a democracy.
Yeah,
I mean, they
that's
raided
not-
Trump's home. We don't have a democracy. They fabricated evidence and took pictures of it. We don't have a democracy.
Were they investigated and found guilty for it and tried? Can we look that up? Do you know?
No, they won't
went
be.
to Trump's house.
That's the point.
Went through his daily logs, found a series of things they determined to be classified, and then put fake classification papers on top of it. Took a picture of it.
Okay, and so
And then told the American people Trump had classified documents. They were his daily briefings.
No.
These people are evil.
ask her about this.
just the left. I'm sorry.
I didn't say just the left. I said the people who raided Trump's home and fabricated evidence to put him in prison are evil.
Sure. Yeah. If that occurred in the way that you describe it, yes, I
And
would
it
be
did.
opposed to these things. I'm not granting you that
Look at this
necessarily
story.
at all.
When did we ever have Ukraine Gate? Why don't we spend $30 million on a Mueller probe to investigate the Ukrainians who interfered in the election?
Wasn't
Donald
Trump in
wasn't the
power?
only
Why
presidential
didn't he do
candidate.
this?
2017. It's a good question. Donald Trump was the only
That
presidential
is a good
candidate whose
question.
campaign was boosted by officials from a former Soviet bloc country. Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton to undermine Trump by publicly questioning his fitness for office. They also disseminated documents implicating a top Trump aide in corruption and suggested they were investigating the matter, only to back away after the election. And they helped Clinton's allies research damaging information on Trump and his advisors, a Politico investigation found. Why didn't we ever get any of that? And you're right.
That's a good question.
Yep.
Why didn't Trump do that? Who's
Trump didn't
clearly
arrest Hillary
willing to
Clinton.
weaponize the
You
DOJ
are
now?
correct. Trump should have locked Hillary up. And he didn't do it because he's weak.
He should have not locked Hillary up.
He likes Hillary,
The answer
yeah.
isn't we should throw
Lock 'em
away
up.
due process. The actual answer
said that?
is
Who
we
said that?
must demand due process.
Who said anything about throwing away due process?
Well, locking her up assumes that she wouldn't get fair process.
Criminally charged Hillary Clinton over the
Yeah.
emails, yeah.
Sure, and then if she is found guilty in a court of law when the jury of her peers,
So I'm
then,
advocating for due process, actually.
so am I.
Yes, that
Like,
she
in
should
the
be
case of the Russia
charged.
hoax, what happened is that many people were charged. There were serious issues with Russia. That was found, but there was no tight connection that could be tied to Trump, which is why he
Right,
wasn't
Russia
arrested
didn't
for
help
it.
Trump.
Is
So-
that
so
good
where's our
or
due
bad?
process?
No.
Can we have
He
due
was
process here, Kyla?
impeached over that.
He was impeached over the call to Ukraine, which was related to Russia.
And Hillary Clinton was never held accountable for classified information on her personal server.
Can we get our
Did the
due
impeachment
process?
go
Can
through?
we get
Did
our
he
due
stay
process on
president?
Ukraine?
I'm not. Did he stay president until Joe Biden got elected, or did the
What does that
impeach-
mean?
Well, he got impeached. Did he get?
Yeah.
Was he removed as the
He wasn't
president?
convicted, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but-
What does that have to do with saying he got impeached?
Well, that's saying
We didn't say he was
people can-
removed, you said he was
people can
impeached.
investigate. People can make moves in office to do different things through legitimate actors, and sometimes they fail.
Look,
and
I
that
can-
is
Yeah.
either a sign.
I'm going to step right back and just say this.
Hillary
There are two
Clinton
political
is not a
factions in this
failure.
country that are tearing each other's throats out. Nothing's going to stop them. One side is hell bent on engaging in psychotic, evil lawfare, and the other side is crop dusting it.
You
Well, and
have-
listen,
how many people do we have live
Kyla,
right
I
now?
haven't said anything this whole
20-something
time.
thousand?
I just want to say,
I'm
guys,
sorry,
I think
that's
this is just a waste of time because it's obvious that we have a uniparty.
26,000?
You can look at Donald
27.
Trump, who campaigned that he's not going to start any wars. He started a huge war. You can say that he was going to get rid of all the illegal immigrants. Now he has all these multinational corporations saying we can't get rid of the illegal
Yep.
immigrants. So we have a uniparty. So this idea that it's right versus left is just meant to make us argue on
I disagree.
podcasts. When it's really not true.
Alex,
I'm just telling you. That's
I
Alex,
disagree. I
Would
think
you,
they're giving
would
up.
you take the uniparty over
No.
a radical left who wants to lock up their political opponents?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Would you?
Would I take the
I'm giving you-
uniparty?
I'm
I mean,
giving you- I'm
Trump-
giving you choices.
Trump has not prosecuted anybody for, Anthony
No,
Fauci.
hold on. They just issued a subpoena to come the other day. There's 130 subpoenas that went out over the grand conspiracy against Trump.
He's also subpoenaing Jerome
Yeah,
Powell.
but nobody's going
which
to
has
get
been
arrested.
dismissed
Yeah, but
multiple
not
times.
Anthony Fauci. I mean, they've even come out and said that there's side effects of the vaccine, even though it is safe and effective, YouTube. So my point is nobody has gone to jail for that. And then on top of that, I know people within the Department of Justice that actually tried to go after the people that put together the January 6th committee, and they don't even want to, the DOJ is not going to prosecute the DOJ.
Maybe
so
it's just
all
one
right.
big
Look,
happy
East-
family tree,
Eastman's-
son.
John
Yeah, that's
Eastman's
what it is.
emails are horrifying. If you read through John Eastman and J6, he is explicitly saying, hey, Trump, by the way, I need to be on the pardon list. And multiple aides have already testified that they told John Eastman that what you're doing is illegal, but what's happened to him? Nothing. I agree that there are problems and that we need to correct the system, but the answer to this isn't just accept more erasure
No one
of
said
our
that.
liberal rights.
No one said that.
I'm not saying that you're saying that. The problem is that your conclusion is there's nothing we can do about it, but I guess I would ask, how many people are live right now?
27,000?
Okay. 27,000 people is a lot of people.
It
that
is.
means your voice really matters.
Sure.
So what can 20,000 people theoretically do if they
27,000.
want to further strengthen actual liberal institutions?
I got it.
I think
I
they
got it.
should
You're gonna trophy.
understand.
I can tell you got that trophy. Go to
Go to timcast.com and join our Discord
Yeah, go to
community.
Casper.com and get some coffee.
Yeah,
You see coffee prices are going through the roof because of the war, Tim? Did you see that? Has it affected Casper?
Our prices are unaffected.
Okay, good. Well, it
Our
has been
price, you can get
affected.
some Big Booty Latina Love Potion at the same low price it's always been.
Casper.com.
No, I think Alex, I'll give you a little pushback. The reason why they're dropping the mass deportation thing is because they're losing Hispanic voters. This is what the intern.
No.
This is what they're saying, bro.
It's because of when this first started,
okay,
he
hold
literally
on.
said we're not going to
Farm
deport
workers and hospital
exactly
and hotel
right.
workers. I
And
know
Trump
this.
owns hotels.
And he's got allies and businessmen who are like, hey, we don't want to do this.
Yeah.
you also have the political class saying the Hispanic vote for Republicans has dropped dramatically because they don't like the ICE raids and DHS. That's why they pulled out of Minnesota.
I was right that those ICE raids didn't look good.
I don't agree that means it's a uniparty. I do agree that it means that Trump's got special interests behind
Dude, you
him.
know it's a uniparty. They can't even pass the SAVE Act, Tim. They can't even. No, I'm not even kidding. They can't even
It's a good
pass
point.
the
It's a good point.
most simplistic thing. It's
One
just
of the
you have
most
to show an
popular bills in American history.
And they can't even pass that because there's Republicans who are saying, "Oh, I don't know."
Well,
So
there's
it's
no
all
political will
fake.
for it because like they're tying it to voter fraud, which just like everyone.
No.
Well, this
There's
is,
no will for it because I agree with like the Republicans and the Democrats largely are like we like the status quo.
Yeah, and
We
so
don't
they're
wanna
not going
change
to rock
it.
the boat. Like, just like the DOJ is not going to
But again, this
investigate
goes-
the DOJ
this
over
goes
January
back to my
6th.
point.
Sort of,
where-
but this is to the progressives' point. This is why progressives would say we need to do things that rally against, like the progressive argument, right, is
The
to
trans
say
kids.
this isn't left versus right. The progressives reject the Democrat Party.
Well, look.
They say we need a complete revival where the power actually shifts back to the people.
I'm gonna lay it out for you. It's very simple.
They just also want to trans the kids.
So a guy in a black hoodie with a black mask on comes up and says the government is full of corrupt politicians. And I go, here, brother. And then he starts waving a red and black flag, and he says the military-industrial complex has been waging war, killing civilians without cause for generations. And I go, yeah, man, I hear you. And he goes, we got to change that. And I say, yeah, I agree. What can we do? And he goes, we got to put in a candidate who's going to put a stop to this corruption, who's going to fix our voting systems and make sure that people's voice is heard. And I say, well, I'm in. What do I do? Vote for the guy who wants to cut this girl's tits off. And I go, huh?
Well,
And then I turn around and walk off.
I mean, it's just crazy to me that your number in your pluralistic moral system of what matters most in voting, you're like, no, I couldn't. Imagine you could
How about-
overnight say we could wave a wand and
How
you could
about-
vote away corruption, but.
But-
Easy with
Tits
the
off.
hand. Like, I'm right next to you.
We're transing Phil specifically. No, but we can trans
Phil?
kids.
How about
yeah.
how about the
I'm
people?
joking, I'm
how about
joking.
how about like just instead of take it away from the trans topic, like how about people that are like we don't respect property rights and we're going to expropriate your property?
Yeah, we shouldn't work with communists. I agree. Right, in the
That's-
same way that we shouldn't work with like Nick Fuentes, who is a theocrat.
Yeah, well that's fair enough, but
Yeah,
that's exactly what the progressives want to do. That's what AOC wants to do. That's what Ro Khanna's talking about. That's
Well,
what they're doing in California.
AOC is hated by the communists because she moderated and does a lot of bipartisan bills and is increasingly trying to do so.
just because the communists have a problem with her doesn't mean that she wouldn't institute policies that the communists want. First of all, second of all, that would also destroy the economy.
I don't believe that AOC would ever have any political will behind her to actually
Bernie
get rid of.
Sanders would do that.
No, Bernie Sanders is
like I said, Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna are talking about a wealth tax, which they say it's
Sure,
only. They
you
say
can
it's
dislike
only.
their taxing
they
systems,
say
but
no, but
that's
but
not getting
no,
rid of private property.
listen, stop. They say like, oh, it's only for the billionaires and billionaires because Bernie's a millionaire, but that will cause capital flight. And then it will go get transferred on down to people that have a house that's worth $1 million or
if
half
you
a
don't pay
million
your
But
dollars.
this
property
is-
taxes, what happens?
They seize
They
your
take
property.
it.
Exactly.
This
so
is
you could just
why-
argue that that's already communism right there. That every year I have to pay taxes on my house that I already own.
and your house
Listen,
doesn't generate
no,
income for
No,
you.
property taxes are state taxes, and you can move if you don't like it. I'm talking about a federal tax. That's why I mentioned Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna.
Sure. So this is where like federalism of America compared to like Canada is really cool, and that like different states can have these
No,
different
that's
rules.
why I specified federal.
Yes, I understand, but I'm moving back more towards like these broader conversations of like how we like try to unify these two bodies, right? And the answer is if you always will have something you prioritize just preferentially over corruption, I guess, yeah, then we're doomed. But I guess I would say if we care about like one of the fundamental things that made this country great, that has shifted over time, but is built on like certain liberal, not left, liberal values like strong institutions, balance of power, ensuring that like the votes have integrity, that we have some level of like regulation and whatnot. If you value some of these things, if you value free speech, right, the miracle that is Western liberal democracies, then you have to prioritize probably some other things over other things, but definitely vote within your state against trans kids.
But the problem is there's a difference of opinion on what those definitions are to those terms that you're using. One side doesn't see it the same way. So how do you fix that?
I agree that we don't see it the same way, but here's one of the benefits of this latest kind of FCC pressuring of all these things is all of a sudden all the progressives that I was yelling at 3 years ago being like, actually, free speech matters even for people we disagree with, like conservatives. Now they're going, free speech, right? Now we're at this perfect type of position where a lot of the progressives, not just liberals, but progressives are actually sensitive to certain, there's There's progressives that are 2A, right? Like, that's happening right now. We're in this poised position where
they're
everyone's
2A the same way
sick
that, like,
of
Marx
fundamental
was.
rights getting removed, and we're understanding why these rights mattered in the first place. And what we shouldn't do is go, well, the billionaires are winning, so I guess I guess we're fucked. Like, that can't be the answer.
No, I mean, why not?
Because
Like, what's wrong if, like, honest question, like, let's say the billionaires take back control and they seize media, and then everybody has a homogenized worldview and everybody agrees almost on everything. It'll be like the 90s again. What's wrong with that?
what's wrong with the reduction of rights?
I didn't say reduction of rights.
Well, the homogenized society that we're talking about in this unipolar system is less free speech, for example, because there's a control of media.
Okay, let's just pause again, and I'll ask the question again. The billionaires fund their politicians who win. They take the media back over. They buy it all up. They put in personalities. The country homogenizes around a similar set of worldviews with minor differences, where anyone can speak their mind and say whatever they want whenever they want. What's wrong with that?
That I have no issue with, but it sounds like the system you're outlining isn't that.
I just outlined it. What do you mean?
Well, the when we started the show, right, you were telling us about
that's
this
exactly what I said. They want to. They're going to drown out all the chaos and the noise with AI slop. They're going to put in their trusted personalities to create a homogenous moral worldview.
And they're going to have the same opinions no matter what. And what happens if
They're
they don't
similar
have the same
opinions.
opinion? And
It's gonna be like Obama
what
and McCain.
happens if you don't agree with some of the opinions?
Like if like you have a small percent of dissenters who make blogs and do their own videos on YouTube.
What if you've got a podcaster who works for CBS who like maybe has a different opinion? Can they voice that?
I'm like, are you asking if an individual has a right to go on someone else's platform?
No. I'm asking.
They can go and say whatever they want
Are
where they
people
want.
allowed to have free speech? Are they allowed
Yes.
to oppose things?
Uh-huh.
Then
But
in
like, I don't
that
got to
world,
invite you on my show if I don't like you.
Sure, that's
So when they
freedom of
buy up all the
association.
news networks,
Yes,
and
if
then
your
tell-
billionaires lead to a world where we just respect liberal constitutional values and amendments and like these liberal things that I've outlined, these like 4 things, sure, that's fine.
My
I'm
point
fine with
is-
that, but it sounds like you're saying that they won't.
my point is, when there are 5 streaming services and every person who's hired to have shows where they get a lot of views are going to be either somewhat moderate on war or pro-war, what's like, if you are an anti-war individual, they're not going to invite you on the show.
Sure.
That's not a violation of free speech.
Sure, but the system that you outlined to all of us, and my understanding, if I can go
Is
back
the
and
political elites buying up
by a podcast, they restructure narratives so that there's kind of the same 2 parties.
Yeah.
They've got the controlled opposition.
The
so that
easiest way to explain it is
basically
the
everything's
easiest way to
the
explain
same.
it is they
Nothing's
want
different.
to recreate Obama McCain.
And you know they can do this very easily once they put in a social credit score. I'm not even kidding. You know that is how they can
I
basically
don't think
make
they need
it.
it.
Well, I think they. I mean, if they put that in, they just create more
Alex,
free social services, and then we'd all have to just behave in
The
order to
social
get
credit score
access to
already
the-
exists.
I know, I
You just
agree,
can't
but
see
I'm
your
saying
number.
but it will be out in the open. It'll be like your driver's license. You'll have to check your social credit score to go
No.
anywhere.
So that already exists.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like just out in the open,
But they don't
not
need to do it in the
subversively.
open. They don't need to do it in the open.
Okay.
So, for instance, there are people who have gone on social media who get shadow banned and banned instantly. It's never changed.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, like TikTok does it like crazy. That's it. They know who you are and they will shut down. I mean, look,
But
Nick
things do
Fuentes' social
change.
credit score is in the gutter.
But things do change, right? Like policy does change. Yes, democracies have a large preferentialism for slow change, but things do change. Like the world looks different now than it did in the 80s, even at a policy level.
I take it back. I think we should have a forward-facing social credit score system.
If we're gonna have it, it should be
No.
forward-facing.
Well, check it out. Let me explain it like this. Like, Nick Fuentes is persona non grata, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Spencer is largely too, even though he's not really been as active in the past 7 or so years.
I heard he gained
Nick-
a lot of weight. You see
Well,
him
I
lately?
don't know.
He's really
Nick
fat.
Fuentes.
He
Okay.
is. I'm just saying. He's really fat now.
Look,
but go ahead.
Nick Fuentes is banned from everywhere, and they don't care why. If he tries to sign up for a new platform, they'll just ban him instantly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no number telling anybody that he's bad. They just say, that's a scary name. Now imagine, we had a forward-facing social credit score system, and Nick Fuentes was at a 90 out of 800. He could do things to raise that social credit
Yeah.
score, and then when he applies for PayPal, they don't immediately go, Nick Fuentes. They go, Nick Fuentes, is your score improved? Oh, it's a 700. Welcome aboard. I'm kidding. I really don't want that, but think about the alternative.
I think it's inevitable, though.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about the Black Mirror episode. You do
Basically,
realize that?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
So
for
what
sure.
is the bad side to it?
The bad side is that Black Mirror episode where her day goes bad and then her score just keeps dropping
Right.
like crazy.
And then it's over for her.
China has it. It's nuts.
Most of
It's
the
over for her.
homeless population in China are homeless not because of any other reason than they have a bad social credit score. and they have a significant. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese.
That's frightening.
What?
It's frightening.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Well, look at New York City. Like, if you want to get an apartment in New York City, the co-op board can just basically ban you for nothing. Like, if they just don't like anything about you. And so I think that will be whatever happens in New York. It's kind of can be extrapolated to the future of our society. So it's like we kind of already do, like Tim says, have a hidden social credit score. But I think it would probably be better if we had a forward-facing one, because then at least you get some free government assistance or something, right? Because that's why people will sign up for it, because they won't have to pay as many taxes. They'll get a free car, free gas, whatever incentive they need to make us agree to it.
But if the Trump, Rubio, Gabbard coalition that we outlined at the beginning is moving for that direction, again, my question goes, what do we do about that?
Well, so honest question, like, if the Democratic Party organically just moderated, right? Let's say that they were just like, Tulsi Gabbard is socially liberal on a bunch of things. She's worked with Republicans, so she's got moderates on her side. And if she genuinely won the primary, is that a bad thing?
Not in my fundamental question always with any politician is, what's their policy?
Right. If she's like, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-progressive tax, I want universal health care. But I like Trump. I worked with him. He was good to me. We don't need to be angry, but I just disagree with him on foreign policy, so I'm going to run. And then she wins the primary, becomes the nominee. Is that a good or bad thing?
Well, it would depend on, so she's flipped now, Democrat, Republican, then back to Democrat. It's kind of like this like Kamala thing of being like, uncanny valley of being like, when you remember when Kamala was like a progressive for her entire career.
Hillary was against
gay marriage.
But again, hold on, can we just answer the question? Like,
well,
if Tulsi Gabbard flipped back, I know you're upset about it.
Which is using an example, like a comparative example, right? So the problem that probably would happen
with
Tulsi Gabbard,
no?
well, maybe, can I trust that she's actually telling the truth this time?
That's not that's not the hypothetical I'm offering up.
Well,
if she legitimately won a primary, is it a good thing?
It depends on what her policies are, and if I actually can legitimately believe that she'll enact those policies.
Just say you don't care for democracy.
I do care about democracy.
Then why are you upset if someone legitimately wins an election?
Because if they're lying about their policies to an election and they don't enact anything, then they're not enacting the will of the people. That's not part of the
hypothetical. You're adding things I didn't say.
That's the point of democracy, is that people give up their authority to elected officials to enact their will. So if the politician that I voted for doesn't do my will, that is a problem.
If you did not eat breakfast yesterday, how would you have felt?
Hungry.
Now, why can't you answer the question about Tulsi Gabbard? If she is duly elected in the primary, is it good?
I can do obnoxious, dumb, thought-ending cliches as well.
Why can't you answer the question?
I'm engaging in good faith, and I'm telling you why there are issues to it not being analogous.
If Ron Kaspersky won the Democratic primary, is it a good thing?
Potentially.
The people said we like his policies. We voted for him. He won.
What are his policies? Well, I'm going to feel.
You don't know.
Then I don't know how I feel about it, because I'm going to be happy if a politician that I like his policies of win, and I'm going to be less happy if a politician that I don't like wins it.
I think you're being naive, because a lot of politicians get in power and don't even do what they campaign on. I'm asking about the function of
democracy for a reason, and you have no answer.
That's not a no answer.
It is not an answer.
Wait, so would you just be happy no matter who gets elected?
It is a good thing for a democracy when the people choose their leaders. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Easy answer. Was that hard?
So when Biden gets elected, you're happy about that?
When the people choose their leaders, okay? When the people
Biden gets elected.
I want my, I'm not talking about, I'm not going to get into specifics because you're going to create a culture war. I'm asking you about a random guy named Ron Kaspersky because I'm trying to remove it from
If Ro Ryren gets elected, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, what if he has mostly liberal policies?
It doesn't matter. The people voted for him.
So
why is it hard for you to answer?
Because it feels like you're doing a weird thing.
No, I'm asking you a basic function of democracy as a Socratic method to lead up to the point I'm trying to make. But you refuse to answer.
What's the point that you're trying to? Well, I'm not refusing to answer.
You are absolutely refusing to answer.
No, I'm saying, would I be personally happy about it? It depends on what the policy of the elected official is. Am I happy that democracy is working generally? Yes, I'm happy that democracy.
Was that so difficult?
It is difficult because I'm trying to understand. Wait. Why are you laughing? What are we talking about? Why are we talking about this?
I asked.
Connect it back to the greater topic.
Shows their elected leaders a good thing, and you refused to answer.
You gave I was the X factor on this show, so I thought I'd come in and prove it.
Are you drunk? Say something, Ian.
How are you guys feeling, man?
Please derail it. We've been talking about hypotheticals for almost 2 hours.
Okay, this is what we got to do. We used to do a lot of military philosophy. We used to do a lot of military tactics. Now we're doing political philosophy as well because we're the strongest on the planet. We have to figure out how to use it.
Ian, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is it a good thing if the people duly elect their chosen representative?
Yes.
What does duly mean?
It means legitimately. It means correctly and through fair and normal processes.
It's a transparent process that can be used,
Is it a
used for
functional,
evil.
fair process where the people say, I like this guy, I'm
Yeah.
voting for him, and then he wins?
It
Is that a
can be
good
used
thing?
for good or evil.
But is it good if the people choose their leader?
Well, if they choose a bad leader, you could say the process is transparent, but is used for evil or good. It's like a neutral
I'm not
process.
talking about your opinion on the politics of the person. I'm saying, do you think Democratic representatives are a good, people choosing their leaders a good
At
thing?
least worst, yeah. I
He
haven't
wants
seen
a king.
better
He wants a king.
process.
Okay, fine. King it is.
So
That's fine. I'm fine.
yes,
Literally.
if the process is legitimate, yes, it is good that the person who gets the most votes through whatever system that we have, electoral college, wins. Yes, that's good, assuming that the election is valid. But why?
Yes.
Why were we talking about this?
Because you brought up
We're talking
the
about Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard Trump ticket and the billionaires backing them. And so the question I'm asking is, if the voters did want Tulsi, is it bad that she wins?
Not necessarily, no.
Right. That's my point. If you look at it through the lens of political machinations, you're going to hate every politician ever.
I'm not inherently opposed to Gabbard. What my actual position that I was outlining here that you were initially pushing back on was I was saying, well, aren't we concerned that if Gabbard is just a controlled opposition and it's not a legitimate person and she's just going to not do the policies that she runs on, I would look at that and go, that isn't as legitimate as of democracy, because then we essentially have a charlatan, right? We have somebody who's saying, I'll do this, but she's actually just controlled by the other party and won't necessarily do that thing. Okay, I don't want a puppet democracy.
That happens
obviously.
all the time.
Well, to some extent, there's actually this really interesting political theory that says all civilians to some degree assume that politicians are lying, but we also still want politicians to enact 60% of their policy. Well, we're upset, right? This is why people are upset with Trump. He ran on no wars, and now he's not doing that, which is why people are
mass
upset.
deportations.
And they should be upset because he's defying what is otherwise legitimate authority that the people gave to him. That's why people are upset. So if Tulsi got elected and ran on what she said she would do, then that's fine. But if Tulsi gets elected and she doesn't, and she's a sellout to the other side,
we get it.
That's bad.
The issue that I'm largely getting to is there is no politician anywhere that legitimately runs. It doesn't exist in this country. There has to be a special interest behind them, and when they do get elected to Congress, they have to cut a deal with the NRCC or the DCCC. There is no such thing in this country as a duly elected representative, in my opinion.
Tucker Carlson could be.
I do not believe so.
Do you think so? Do you think that if compromise occurs with any official, is that not legitimate?
Compromise is okay.
Okay.
My point is that
are you anti-lobby groups? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
I am.
Because I'm with you there.
But the problem with lobbying is that people don't understand what it is. It's
True.
I've lobbied.
Okay.
I have lobbied inadvertently West Virginia politicians over MAHA issues.
What about
It
super PACs?
literally was just I was on the phone with a high-ranking member of the government in West Virginia, and the subject of MAHA banning artificial dyes came up, and I said, "Oh man, I hope this happens." And they were like, "Really?" And I said, I think we got to get rid of all that stuff." And I was like, "I think it would be great because if you're in PA, Ohio, Kentucky, or Maryland or Virginia, and you know that you can drive 3 miles to go to a supermarket in West Virginia and you'll have no garbage in your food, I think tons of moms are going to do it. I think suburban moms are going to drive that extra 3 miles. And that could be great for the economy. I'd love for that to happen. Next thing I know, there was a meeting between the governor and RFK Jr.
Sure. So
I was like, oh.
Right. Lobbying is legitimate, right? And it is
Yep.
actually, it's important because, for example, corporations can't vote. And so it's a way for corporations to still have some level of capacity.
They have
But
all the
super PACs-
capacity. They have all the
super
capacity.
Super
yeah.
PACs.
But let me give you-
We're
let
being
me
run
give
by
you-
multinational
okay.
corporations.
I gave you guys an example
talking to
of
hands a lot, huh?
guys. I gave you an example of lobbying that I was doing excellently, but I'll give you an example of actual lobbying, right? How it actually works.
AIPAC getting
so
sent to a war?
a guy will go and meet with a member of Congress, and they'll sit down for a steak dinner, and they'll be discussing policy, and it's not all that crazy. And then the lobbyist will say something like, "If you don't back this bill to fund Israel, I'll release videos of you raping children." And then they go, "Oh, okay, I'll vote for that bill," and then they shake hands.
So
That happens.
Is
That's
that
literally
legitimate?
not even a
Is that
conspiracy.
legitimate though, or illegitimate?
That's illegitimate, but
Right.
it happens.
Because that's
Is that a
illegal.
real question?
No. I'm making sure we're all on the same terms. I'm saying, is that legitimate or illegitimate?
That is de facto
It's
illegitimate.
illegitimate because it was
Of course.
Israel. If it
Of
was another
course.
country,
It's
Because
Israel.
it's Israel, obviously, yes. But if it was a lobby group that wasn't blackmailing, but was just, trying to be like,
Totally
hey,
fine.
well, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But so when you said there's no legitimate authority, I guess the question goes, is that because of
the
super
issue isn't
PACs?
lobbying, though. The issue isn't lobbying.
I agree.
So, for instance, one of the things I'm working on right now is I am going to drop a political nuclear bomb on this country, and I'm going to let you guys in on what's going on. So the Lodge Card Club in Texas was raided by the TABC. The search warrant was released. This is the biggest poker club in the world. Now, maybe not really, because there could be underground clubs and things like that, whatever. But in terms of a building just for playing poker and various poker games and live streaming and culture, the most square footage, the most tables. It might not be the most square footage, but the most tables. Okay. They get raided for illegal gambling and money laundering, because in Texas, you cannot run a gambling operation as a house. The way it works in Texas, however, is card clubs emerged because they allow private games where you pay a membership fee, and that's actually within the law. Well, here's the thing. I have beef with every single state, and you will too. If I were to ask each and every one of you if you think gambling is good, I already know what everyone's going to say. Absolutely not. It's bad. You think so? It's bad?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, no problem. I agree. I completely agree. And it's degeneracy, and poker is gambling.
You say it's not, but I do.
No, that's fine. That's fine if you agree with that. Okay, so the law says you can't gamble, and guess what? Every state says you can't. Gambling is defined as wagering money on a game that involves any amount of chance, where you can win prizes. What did I just describe?
Pokemon Go. Pokemon card game.
Pokemon, where today the regional championships took place in Houston, where children wager $80 for a $71,000 prize pool with a $10,000 cash prize for first place on a card game of chance, which is illegal in the state of Texas, but they don't care. And this pisses me off. Now, in West Virginia, I've been talking to their government for some time, and I said, look, the last thing we want is like casinos popping up like crazy.
Wait, I got a solution. Pokemon Poker. So it's just poker.
I already tried that.
Oh.
So I actually...
Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon. That's perfect.
So here's the idea. Here's the idea. You create a single deck where there's 4 types and varying HPs.
You could definitely do that.
Then you deal them out, and it's a battle where you look down at your Pokemon, and if you have a strong Pokemon team, you can go to battle with the other team, and then you have to use energy tokens to power, like energy cards.
You could literally do that. I mean, it's a Pokemon.
The point is this. I had a conversation with the AG of West Virginia a while back, before it was Morrissey, before he got elected, and I said, we have an issue in the state where you guys have like 1,000 businesses where children are functionally gambling. Mm-hmm. And, I got some laughter. I talked to the Lottery Commission, and they said, well, collectible card games are exempt. So we made a collectible card game called Debate Me, which is functionally poker, and I said, okay, we're exempt now, right? But what pissed me off is when the lodge got shut down, I read that the Pokemon tournaments were coming here that operate under the exact same structure. You pay $80, you play a card game, tournament bracket style, and the winner gets cash prizes. That's children gambling. The law in Texas says you cannot put money up front to use cards or any other dice or gambling device for a chance to win cash prizes with any amount of chance involved.
So why is David Buster's legal?
You don't win cash.
But I mean, I guess you could do this poker thing where you win coupons and then trade the coupons.
And they still shut you down. So this is the thing. The Lodge Card Club did not take money from the games. They hosted a membership club, a social club, where you pay hourly as a member of the club. Then you play the games amongst the players.
Yeah.
And they got shut down for that. Meanwhile, children are directly wagering, and the company is directly profiting off of these Pokemon games. So here's what's going to happen. We have prepared a lawsuit, and I'll take it to the Supreme Court. The states either have to ban Pokemon because it is illegal statutorily under the law, or legalize blackjack. Let's roll, because you can't have it both ways. You cannot allow children to make wagers on Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! Now you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Magic the Gathering cards. You got children putting up money to win cash. Cash, cash, cash. That is illegal under the law in every single state. So we have prepared a lawsuit. We have a lawsuit draft, and we're starting with West Virginia. My argument is this. I think West Virginia is, and I'll tell you why we're talking about this. The casinos, you've got 2 big casino players in West Virginia, and one of them is Penn Entertainment, which is the second biggest casino chain in the country. They operate, I think, about 42 locations. And it has been conveyed to me that the lobby there is extremely powerful, not because, back to the lobbying question, not because they will sit down with politicians and buy them dinner, but because they threaten them. They say, we will pull funding from your PACs and we will guarantee your opponent wins if you oppose us. That is not legitimate. And that's what's happening. And it's happening everywhere.
Hey, I've been screaming, I'm anti-carry committee, I'm anti-super PACs, and I always have been, right? This is one of the reasons I love Ro Khanna, is James Tallarico, is that they've run very doggedly.
Tallarico?
Absolutely.
That guy's a freak.
Sure.
Do you unironically like Tallarico?
I love James Tallarico, but I'm a liberal.
How do you feel about that hoax that he pulled off with Colbert?
I don't know. Here's the thing. One of my biggest.
What do you mean he's
priorities-
racist?
I don't know.
He doesn't like black people.
I don't know anything about the Colbert stuff. I don't watch
So
Colbert.
they staged a hoax against Jasmine Crockett to shut her out of the election.
I would,
I mean, that's
have
evil.
to see evidence of that.
So here's what happened. Colbert went on his show and said, Trump's FCC, I was told in no uncertain terms by CBS that the FCC was threatening us unless, if we were going to air an interview with Tallarico, because Trump doesn't want you to see this. The only problem is the FCC equal time didn't apply to the Republicans or Trump. It applied to Jasmine Crockett specifically. And so Tallarico went on Twitter and said, this is the interview Trump doesn't want you to see. When in fact, it had nothing to do with Trump. They were trying to make it appear as though the only player was Tallarico and whoever the Republican candidate was going to be. They didn't want to give Jasmine Crockett equal time on TV.
Well, but this is the issue: is late night TV shows almost never give equal time because late nights have been basically exempt from this.
This is not the point. The point is
this is the point that happened with this is exactly what the
Let
FCC thing
me
is
clarify the
about.
hoax for you because we're not
That's not
talking
a
about
hoax.
that. It is a hoax to claim Trump stopped an interview when
I agree.
both were stopping Jasmine Crockett from getting equal time.
They were not stopping Jasmine Crockett at all because the
Yes,
equal
they were.
No, the equal, like the FCC
time
policy
rule?
that I actually listened to. There's a really good I think the Daily did a coverage of all this story that goes into detail, and it's very neutral.
So agree, they lied about what was going on.
Yeah, I don't like the lying, obviously.
That was a
but-
hoax. Trump did not stop this. It's not real.
Publicity stunt.
Sure.
Yeah,
The
Tallarico's a
lie-
lying scumbag.
Okay, sure. Maybe in this case, I would have to look into it more. But in the case
Hoaxer.
it's okay. But the issue is my most important thing is corruption.
Like Tallarico's corruption, where he teams up with Colbert to lie about Jasmine Crockett.
Sure, he plays a little bit of dirty social media games, possibly, but
I mean, that's more than
he's
dirty.
never taken $1 of super PAC money.
He stole that election.
Ever.
He
He's
will. That's
he's
inevitable. That's inevitable.
He never did, and
How
he
much
got
you want
and
to
he won
bet
on it.
APEC gets him some money?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll take it. He's like taking a pretty big swing. I hope not, right? He could obviously disappoint me in the future. But what I'm saying here to you guys is that when it comes to politics, I have one really big priority right now, which is corruption in the government and trying to get the common man a voice back in policy.
Well, I just wanna
That's
ask
what I
one
care
point
about.
about Tallarico.
Do you
Okay.
give any room to the fact that they're all corrupt?
They're all corrupt to varying degrees, and I always want to try to vet for the least corrupt person who will pass policy that
I'm just
reduces
saying,
corruption.
just based on special interests, based on money and politics, they're all inherently corrupted at a certain
Then
point.
don't participate in
James
politics. I'm not nihilistic.
Tallarico
I'm not
has
nihilistic on
benefited the
politics.
tunes of millions of dollars through Lone Star Rising PAC. Come on.
And I want to ask you about, if you really do like Tallarico, you know, he calls himself a pastor, but he's also pro-choice. Don't you think that is just...
Wait, PACs are not super PACs. Is that a super PAC?
The Super PAC.
With James Tallarico.
Lone Star Rising PAC spent millions on ads supporting him.
Did he
But Kyla, do you
receive-
think he's a hypocrite for saying that he's a pastor, but also saying it's okay to murder a baby in the womb?
No, not
You don't think that's
necessarily.
hypocritical?
No.
Do you think Jesus would be
I think
pro-choice?
Exodus 21:22. It seems like Jesus made a very specific law that yes, if you kill a baby in the womb, you can get like just a financial fine instead of capital punishment. So
Okay,
it seems like it's
point
not
is
biblically
this.
clear.
It is a, in my opinion, misleading to say someone doesn't take PAC money because PACs don't spend money on candidates; they buy ads for the candidate. And James Tallarico has got from Lone Star Rising PAC spent an estimated $4 million in 2026 on ads supporting him.
Is
I mean,
this
that's
again?
that's
is this a
massive
carry
tax support.
committee?
You know what's-
I need
I
to
don't know,
like.
look it up.
Hold on. You know what's fascinating? The party who claims to love democracy, they sure have a funny way of showing how they do that. Because what they did with Jasmine Crockett is the opposite
Oh
of
my
that.
God, it's evil.
There-
And I don't even like her. But that's evil.
This is just that like silly thing of like just point and be like, oh, Democrats, they hate democracy.
I'm talking
No.
about
Your
I'm talking
president,
about the
your
moderates
president insists
stabbing the
that
progressive in
his
the back.
election was stolen. So he still denies the genuine transfer of legitimate power that happened between him and Biden.
And I have never agreed that the election was stolen, and I think Biden won largely through ballot harvesting. And James Tallarico stabbed Jasmine Crockett in the back. She's a Democrat.
Can all of those be true at the same time?
Okay, he didn't. So this is the
He
stabbing
did.
Jasmine and Crockett. First of all, she came out in vocal, large support of him. The idea that we have ever applied
She called
to
the election
any,
stolen
you
on
gotta let me
camera.
finish. You gotta let me finish.
Well, you made this point the other day that You said, I believe it was to Rudyard, if you keep making points, I'm going to have to rant for 20 minutes, or I can address them point by point.
Okay, first
so
of all,
when you make
it
a
is
point, I will counter
4v1.
it.
It is 4v1, so I have to be able to respond
No,
to
Alex
everyone.
is on your
I'm
side.
on your side.
Okay, base. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. It's 3v1. Although Phil, I think is on my
2v2.
I'll join
side.
as well, just for fun.
Yeah.
You're on my side too?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, but you guys aren't speaking up much, so you guys got to really come in.
you won't shut up.
You can't be on my team anymore. I'm voting you off. Right? So what I am saying, in the case of Jasmine Crockett, the FCC policy that got utilized against him, which wasn't actually pushed, the network was worried about it because there are increasing FCC pressures from Carr against late night shows
I gotta stop
specifically,
you.
which is
I have
equal
to
time.
stop you.
You don't have to stop me. I'm
I
finishing.
do, because we're not talking about equal time.
You either know that you're wrong or you're just uninformed about what happened with Jasmine
I'm going
Crockett.
to pause.
hold on.
I'm going to set a foundation real quick. What we are discussing is not equal time rules and how they apply.
Yes, it is, because you
No.
said that he stabbed her in the back by not allowing her on the show,
So
which
let
is
me
not what
pause real
happened.
quick and say the campaign from Colbert and Tallarico was to claim that Donald Trump shut down their interview so that it appeared James Tallarico was the only candidate in play and the only other candidate was a Republican. So when people went to vote, he had a very high profile moment that got millions of views, and across the board the media said this stunt put him over the edge. Jasmine Crockett then, when after she lost, she said they cheated, this was stolen.
I believe she also made a massive, I don't know if that's
Probably
true.
after the fact, I'm sure. She was
that
like, what am I going to do
literally
about
the
it?
same day that he won, she made a large social media post celebrating James Tallarico and
She didn't
encouraging.
make the post. Someone probably wrote it for her.
But
Let's just be
regardless-
honest
But
about
did
it.
she approve it?
But this is not what
She
we're
has no
arguing.
choice. She has to do that. If
But
she,
this is not
if
what
she
we're
doesn't write
arguing.
the point,
That's not true.
But this
Kamala
is
Harris
not
went on like
the
this
argument.
huge tour,
This
like
is
mad
not
at everyone
the
who didn't
argument.
support
We are
her.
not arguing this. We are arguing that James Tallarico staged a hoax
No,
to steal an
you're-
election.
You were arguing specifically here that what he did is stab her in the back by not giving her access to equal time.
Okay,
That's
let me
the part
stop
I'm
you right
fighting
now.
with you
he
on.
stabbed
It's not
her in
the
the back
argument.
through a
I've not
hoax.
made that argument.
There
It's
you go.
not the argument. I said he hoaxed the people with Colbert attacking Trump so that Crockett would lose.
What does this have to do with Crockett?
Jasmine
all.
Crockett was
How
his
is this-
opponent in the primary.
Why does
He
she, why
staged a
does he
hoax.
owe her time on Colbert Show?
I did not say that
so
he
then
did.
why
What
is
don't you
Jasmine
understand?
Crockett relevant to this?
In order to win the election, he staged a hoax with Colbert to frame the election as though he was the only one running. He got 12 million views from this hoax. He made millions of dollars, and it put him over the edge. This is
Gotcha.
a PR stunt.
So every time Trump has done massive
We're not
lying,
talking about Trump.
I'm just wanting to make sure you're consistent. You're so mad
Not
at
interested,
James
and I won't answer.
Tallarico,
No,
and
I-
you can't
not
trust him at
interested.
all.
I'm just-
Well, don't moralize at me about how bad and awful James
changing the
Tallarico
subject.
is. If you won't
was
engage
me.
with me very
that's him.
seriously about whether or not you have an issue with him lying about Ruby Friedman to support his argument
Yeah,
that
it's
his
bad.
it's not just bad.
Oh, it's evil.
It's of course it's evil.
Great.
Of course
and James
it's evil.
Tallarico is evil too.
Okay, but the issue is that who have you said you would never vote for again? Democrats.
Yes, because let me clarify. What I said was, unless the party is purged and they bring in moderates who have not supported transient kids, how do you vote for someone who 5 years ago wanted to lop off a girl's boobs?
Did Carr and Curry pressure through the FCC to not have Tallarico and other people on? Did they do that?
No.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No,
they
they did
used
not.
the equal time clause specifically
No,
to
they
pressure
did
them.
not.
Yes, they did.
CBS issued a statement saying we never made this statement. It never happened.
Their lawyers didn't say that they could not do it, but they said that it could not be aired on their
issued a
main thing,
statement
that it
saying,
had to be on YouTube.
"We never
This
told
is,
Colbert this."
This is what happened.
CBS issued a statement saying we never told Colbert he couldn't have Tallarico on. Never happened.
You're right. What they did say to him, though, instead, is that
You'd have to bring on Crockett.
that if he was on, they couldn't air it on the mainstream, that it could only be on YouTube.
Not
That's what they
correct.
told them. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, could you accept the fact that there is some level of corruption with what went down with Stephen Colbert? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah. To some degree,
So-
they were lying a little bit. Yes.
So, Tim, am I right in your point is if her main beef is corruption, then she should be equally mad
Why?
at.
Not all corruption is equal. right? Somebody insisting, for example, that the 2020 election results are not true and pressuring his staff to change and try to delay the certification of the vote, that is not the same thing as being like, the FCC told us that he couldn't be here. And it's like, oh, it turns out the FCC didn't say that exactly. They just said, if he's there, you have to give equal time to Jasmine Crockett. Okay? These are both not good. But acting like these are equal is not the same thing.
Well,
and what I
about-
would prefer is lesser of these bad things.
Well, what about locking up pro-lifers and kicking veterans out of the military?
I more context, but probably if it's illegitimate, I would not be for that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that happened under Democrats. I mean,
Yeah, there's lots of things Democrats did that I'm not happy with.
so that's our point, is it's either uniparty or going back to that.
No, the issue is you have primaries. You have primaries to vote for politicians that have different, like, leaning ins of different things, right? You have grassroots movements to go and canvass behind people who won't take PAC money, because if you don't take PAC money, it's really hard to get your
how
name
about
out
this?
there.
Maybe we can agree on this. Probably more likely to happen at the local level, but not as much
Definitely.
likely to happen at the national level.
Let
Is
me,
that an agreement?
Yes, but I don't think that it is impossible, and I think that we should orient towards that if we want to see a reduction of corruption, which is something I really value.
Let's read this from Variety. CBS denies forcing Stephen Colbert to not air interview with Democratic candidates, says it provided legal guidance about FCC equal time rule.
Right.
In a statement Tuesday, CBS said The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Rep. James Tallarico. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Rep. Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options.
Yep.
So when Tallarico
that's
said,
what I said, by the way.
when Tallarico said it was Trump that stopped it,
I
that
already
was a
agreed.
lie.
Yeah, it sounds like that was a lie.
It's a
And I
hoax.
already agreed to that. Well, the issue is it's not nearly, you did a Mott and Bailey. You made it seem like it was this really big hoax, and he was doing all sorts of
it's just a
shifty
hoax.
stuff. He did one thing,
One
which
hoax,
is
indeed.
Yeah, he lied and said
Yep.
that the FCC said he couldn't. And I wouldn't be surprised, for example, if he wasn't told this, that Colbert said this to him. So probably the main person who did the hoax was Colbert, and possibly even because Colbert slightly misunderstood what the lawyers meant when they said you'd have to explore other options. He read
Well,
that as, I can't air
I'll
this
take
show.
either. I mean, either James Tallarico's an idiot or he's an asshole. Whichever. I don't
It's
care.
not.
Probably
It's
both.
not
Maybe
idiotic.
both.
Why would it be idiotic?
Because he
if
doesn't
a
understand that
person-
equal time applies to Jasmine Crockett, not the Republicans.
Equal time has never applied to late night shows. This is a
and
new
that's
thing.
why he's an idiot.
That's not. That
He's
doesn't
always
make him
an asshole.
Why does that make him an idiot?
he
Because
doesn't understand FCC rules and he didn't look into it. Then he's an idiot.
Nobody has. Nobody.
He lied about Jasmine Crockett. Then he's an
Sorry,
asshole.
Do politicians have to infinitely know all policy that is relevant at all times in any moment?
If you're going to attack another politician who's not involved in whatever's going on, I think it's fair. Yes.
And you could
Well,
use
I'm
ChatGPT to
assuming
figure
that
it
he
out.
took
Yeah, you could've
Colbert at his
Googled it.
word. Like, there's a lot of like reasonable
Right, so he's an idiot.
interpretations. I guess on
FCC rules don't
yeah,
apply this
on
way.
FCC laws, yeah. James Tallarico knows nothing about. Okay,
Do you really want a politician who doesn't look into things and then attacks other people without investigating?
I would prefer a politician that is more
Should he
rejecting.
apologize?
Sure, yeah, he can apologize. But
If you
what
see him, I hope
prefer
you
is
ask him and film it.
The outcome that I would like, that I'm focused on. This, okay, whatever. Yeah, Jamal Bowman pulled like the stunt with like the thing.
Oh, he
Yeah,
should be
I don't
fired.
like these things. I don't like these things. The issue that I'm pointing to is
Right
there
to
are
jail.
different people of level corruptions. Can we agree to that?
I do agree
Yes.
with you.
There
on
are
that.
some politicians that lie more, like Trump, and some that lie less. I want to get behind politicians that lie less.
Well, I got to be
I
honest.
prefer that they not lie at all.
Well, I
but
don't think
Well,
George
well,
Santos
well,
should
well,
have gone to
Wait,
jail.
Well, I have a
so
question,
you're
I have a
saying he
question.
lies the most?
Ask Rock, yes.
Well, I
Trump
have a
lies the
question.
most,
I have an honest
unquestionably.
question. Like, who is the preferential candidate in that capacity between Tallarico and Crockett?
I have
Has
preferences
Crockett
for.
lied more?
I like Tallarico's policies more.
But has Crockett lied more?
Well, I don't know. I don't know Crockett's history.
I got to
on
be
lying.
honest. Like, I don't like Jasmine Crockett.
Has she lied?
She's an
I don't-
attorney, so
I
she
don't think
probably
so.
she have to
I
lie
will say
sometimes
this.
for work.
Oh.
In terms of major events like this, the only thing I can really say about Crockett is that I find her abhorrent. I find her behavior bad. I find like
Sure.
her attitude fake. But she lies like a politician. This, yeah, there's varying degrees of corruption, and maybe they're both like the C- of corruption, but he's C and she's C-. I think he's worse. Maybe he has better policies, but he seems to be more dastardly.
James Tallarico is worse than Crockett because
He lied to win the election.
lied or was
dumb?
told something or
Well,
was
then,
done.
then
Didn't
Jasmine
know-
Crockett still, he's either way the best.
Not necessarily.
I would-
Again,
yeah,
what
I
are their
would say-
policies?
yeah,
like,
I-
all I care about
We're
here is their
not- we're not-
policies.
I would actually say he's worse because he's establishment approved. She wasn't.
She's very establishment
No,
approved.
she's not establishment
she
approved,
had
'cause if she
massive
was-
PAC money behind
I
her.
mean,
if she
lies
was
for
if she was
power,
establishment approved, she would have spent more money than he did. She didn't. She didn't raise more money than he did.
She didn't raise more money than he did, but she had a lot more super PAC backing.
And why is it that establishment figures like Stephen Colbert, Barack Obama spoke very highly of him and never about Jasmine Crockett?
I believe Barack Obama has spoken positively about Jasmine Crockett.
Not in the same way that he did with Tallarico.
It's possible that
Well, it's-
Barack had a larger preference for Tallarico and Colbert
all
did,
I'm
but
saying is,
Paxton's gonna win.
all I'm saying is, the establishment will get what they want. They wanted him. They used her as a distraction. She went onto the news. She made outrageous statements. I'm with you. I think she is probably smart in her house, but when she goes in front of the camera, she thought it was smart to act a certain way. I don't think that works in politics, and I think that the establishment wanted him and not her.
I think
would-
you can say that like preference. I don't know if it's obvious to me. She had a lot of super
Of
PAC
course
money.
it's
She had a
obvious.
lot of super PAC money. She was
it's simple.
accepted in the squad. She was very popular as well on social media. She did a lot of interviews as
Indeed.
well. I suspect
Tallarico
Here's-
has a better
I think the
chance
establishment
versus
honestly
Paxton
liked
or
both. It was a
Cornyn.
really tight race, and a lot of people were like, I don't know, either one.
Here's a great data point.
Sure.
The only people that she was going to bring out are black people. He was bringing out Hispanic people, white people, and women.
Christians.
So automatically, James Tallarico is a more favorable candidate than she is in the eyes of the establishment. Who's going to win for us?
But more importantly, the reason they chose Tallarico is that he's a Democrat who wears a Christian suit.
Right.
So they're hoping that the less informed, like the default Christians, who are non-practicing Christians, will find him an acceptable person to vote for because he says, I'm a Christian, vote for me. They're going to earn a lot more votes that way.
And he is politically savvy
Maybe.
because he was able to get on a bunch of
Does he have
conservative
policy that
committees
makes
in
him
the
establishment?
That doesn't mean
state.
that he's got good
No,
policy.
there's a lot of policies he's aligned with the establishment. I just want to make this one
Sure,
point.
some, but there's anti-establishment
Some
policies
people
too.
say he also appealed to people better because he looks Hispanic or Mexican, but he's not.
I heard he kicks dogs. Like just walks the
I
dog.
mean,
just kicks
Christy
him.
Nome kills him.
Yeah, I heard he walked to some Indian guy's dog and kicked him, and the Indian guy was like, "You kicked my dog,"
I don't think
and
Indians have
he was all
dogs.
angry. You don't. I'm making a
probably
joke.
an
You don't know
AI
that
video.
reference?
What is
It's a
that?
famous. It's a famous like Jerky Boys or something.
I love the Jerky Boys.
Yeah,
but
it was like, you kicked my dog. It's like, sir, I didn't kick your dog. What are you talking? You come to my house and you kicked my dog. And he's like, no, I didn't. That's why I always make kicking the dog as the joke about when a politician does something wrong. I'll be like, they accuse Trump of kicking a dog or whatever.
That was
or
it.
Nancy Pelosi of kicking a dog.
The world is a much better place when we listen
Wait,
to Jerky
hold
Boys
on.
CDs.
Who was the Democrat who actually kicked the dog? Do you remember this?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, who was
I
that?
forgot
Who
his
was
name.
that?
It was
Let me ask
who was
Grok.
that? I remember
Which-
that.
Oh no, that's the AG in Virginia who wants to kill
Yeah.
people's kids.
Jay
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Jay Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
He
see
actually
that?
kicked him.
No, he tried to kick the dog.
He missed.
That's
And he
fucked
tried
up.
to move
Yeah,
it.
don't
Yeah,
fuck
Yeah,
with
but
dogs.
guys,
I
we're
don't
talking
do it.
about this. Christy Nome did something much worse.
She killed the dog.
She killed the
And a
dog.
goat. An
Whoa,
innocent
whoa,
goat.
whoa. She killed a
She
goat?
rehomed
Yeah,
the
she
dog.
did.
Crosses the line.
She did a
She didn't
2-for-1.
rehome the dog. She blew it. Maybe to heaven. She
A
blew it.
transfer of energy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a bullet into
To
the
the
dog's
astral
skull.
plane. Yeah. To the
I gotta
astral
say,
realm.
shooting a dog because you failed to train it as a herder is crazy.
She spent $220
behavior.
million on a 1-minute ad. Avengers cost $180 million.
No. It was a series of ads. It's a bunch of different ones.
Still.
Bro, no. I'm not saying
I'm just
they were
saying
good.
she overpaid to. I mean,
No,
whatever. it
no.
was.
You're saying it was one
Definitely
ad, but it was a
overpaid.
bunch of
Yeah,
ads.
imagine
Right.
if you got
And she had to
$200
pay for the
million.
marketing of it and stuff. But
But I watched all these ads. They're on Fox News.
she didn't.
Guys,
shoot-
I have a question. Boomers have like 5 years left. It's not. I'm not trying to be mean, right? But boomers
Okay,
have like
let's
5 years
not-
left.
Our parents
What?
are.
No, I'm not trying to be mean though, but it's true. Life
It's
expectancy
mean.
for boomers is 79 years old. What is Fox News, MS Now, and CNN going to do?
I don't know. Nobody watches it anyway. I mean, Mark Levin's audience isn't very big. I don't even think real human beings watch Fox News. Honestly, it's just on at
I have to
airports
be
and
honest.
stuff.
I don't think anyone ever watched anything. To be honest.
You know, well, Tucker,
no,
when
what-
Tucker was doing his monologues on Fox News when he was number one, he
I'm-
was culturally
I'm being
relevant.
hyperbolic. What I mean is, they told us that 25 million people watch Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
Now that is
yeah.
a goddamn lie.
Well, I
Big
mean,
Bang Theory, I don't believe it for a
those
second.
guys
I
aren't
believe the
spending
number,
enough
I
time
believe
with
the numbers
normies.
before
Normies love Big Bang Theory.
before the internet. I think that there was probably significant like,
Yeah, like
viewership of
water
stuff.
cooler shows. Like after
Yeah.
Seinfeld, everybody talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there
All
were
of my
some
like
shit-
normie, non-internet, like college friends loved Big Bang Theory.
That's insane.
I agree.
parents
I
watched
don't like that
Big
shit
Bang
myself, but
Theory is like.
It's like AI slop before AI slop.
It's true.
exactly.
The-
That's a
The
good
only
description.
joke they have is that to stupid people, they say something that's confusing, and that's the joke. So if you ever watch Big Bang Theory without the laugh track, like Sheldon will walk in and go, "What are you guys doing? It looks like a Heisenberg uncertainty principle experiment."
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's awkward. Yeah.
and that's
And then
it.
they play a laughing
And then
track.
everyone laughs. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it is mindless content. I mean, I think a lot of sitcoms.
That's what we
are,
need.
So.
What do you prefer, tung 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 the whore or those jokes?
What?
Yeah, what is
The young staff know.
What is that?
It's
What is
the
that?
Italian brain rot.
Did you guys see the? There's a meme.
Ballerina,
yeah.
Can
There's
we
a
just get rid of all brain
Alex,
rot?
Alex, guys, Phil, hear me. Hear me.
You gotta roll there.
The world that you were born in, it doesn't exist anymore. There was a meme, and it's a series of license plates, and it's got years, so you can get like I heart, 10, I heart 16, and on one side it said I heart 66, I heart 68, I heart 69, I heart 70, but I heart 67 was gone and sold out. Do you understand?
Yeah, because
The
6,
world you
7,
grew up
yeah.
in is gone. Because I Heart 69 was fully stocked and I Heart 67 was gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in my world, 69 would have been the first one.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So-
I think we need I don't care
time
about politics.
machine?
I don't care about politics. We need a fascist dictatorship to install family Pizza Huts, 80s style malls, and Blockbuster Video.
Do you think Donald Trump's a
Then
time
we should
traveler? And do you
be
think
blowing
Back to
up
the Future
data
is based on
centers
his
and,
travels through the?
yes.
Yes.
To delete the
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Mandatory
preferable
bikes
to whatever it is going
mandatory
on.
For the Zoomers
bicycles
listening,
for
that was
everyone
dash
under
S, by
under
the way,
under
in case you're
15.
wondering.
All right, we're going to go to
I
your
was
Rumble
talking
rants and
at the
super
same time.
chats, my friends. Smash the like button, share the show with every person you've ever met, including your grandma or that Indian neighbor whose dog you kicked. All right, we got this from Joey Giggles. He says, why is she here? She provides nothing. She uses big words to make herself seem smart.
I
But,
love the big word insult.
My God, but at least my boy who loved BBL is on.
Yeah.
I disagree.
No. Say
You know,
small
look,
words.
They gotta
I'm
go
I say it,
back.
I'll say it every time we have a lib come on the show. It adds tremendously to the show.
I agree.
Like we're arguing the whole time. That's kind of the point. Whether she's right or we're right, whatever you think is right.
It's entertaining.
Sitting in an
Echo
echo chamber
chambers
where we all
suck.
shake each other's hands, be like, "You are correct, sir." No, you're correct, sir. Like we all just agree with each other. It's not. It's like not stimulating. We're
Alex
not
Stein,
learning.
Alex, they all got to go back.
Donald Trump.
All of them.
You talk
All
to
of
Trump.
them.
Trump's not kicking
All of
any of
them.
them out. I know, but you're talking to
understand,
me like
but
I'm Tom Homan.
they
Dude,
all gotta
they're
go.
literally not going
They-
anywhere. They're
no
literally
big booty
What
Latinas.
I'm saying
Big
is,
booty
you don't like me
Latinas go
saying that.
first.
But Donald Trump is not kicking anybody out, and he's
wait,
actually, especially the big booty Latinas that work in the hotels, are definitely safe from.
Okay, wait.
deportation.
I just read that first super chat, but we've got to read another one. P. Soupy says, I disagree with Kyle at every turn, but I absolutely love her and the way she's willing to stand on her beliefs. Alex, on the other hand, he's been so flip-floppy in support of MAGA, I just can't.
Guys,
Okay, because I go with what.
that's my teammate.
Whenever the evidence
Share the
is
love.
presented, whether I believe, Donald Trump, I do like Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump, but I feel
Would
like
you kiss him?
No, I would not kiss him because I'm not gay. But I'm saying he
Would you rub
did
his back?
campaign that he was going to deport all these people. He has not done that. He's deported less people than Barack Obama. He said he's not going to start any
No,
wars. He started a huge war.
The
So
deporting, the deporting
why,
fewer
why
people.
hasn't he been able to?
because these multinational corporations
No,
told him,
the
hey,
deporting
we
fewer
use
people.
him as exploitative later.
The only
labor,
reason that he's deported fewer people is because they counted people that were turned away during Barack Obama's presidency. So when they got to the border and he turned them away, they were counted those as deportation.
Yeah, but we just had 35 million people come over here the last four years.
That
I mean,
still doesn't
but-
change the fact that it is incorrect to say that
Well, I don't
Donald
know
Trump
if
is not.
that's true. I
It
mean-
is true. Donald Trump has actually deported
then it's
more
close.
people.
Then it's
has de-
close.
he-
It's not that much.
No, it's
like
not.
400,000 people.
He's deported.
Alex, I honestly.
400,000 is all you believe, really?
That's what I heard. I mean, I think that's
Well,
what
it
it
is
is.
way more than that. They range
It's
as 3 to
way,
6.
it's way more. My
3
point
to
is,
6, yeah, 300 to 600, yeah.
It's way more than that. My point is, I don't think
I
the
don't know.
American people have the stomach to remove every person that's in this country unlawfully.
I do.
We got to read this from Potter. He says, for Chuck Norris, a
Comcast
true
actor.
American and man that inspired tens of millions of young men to not give up on their dreams, may his legacy grow even in death, allegedly. No, I have to correct you here. Chuck Norris did not die. After
has
several
said it.
decades
he's
of
alive,
intense
huh?
meditation,
Apologize.
he has figured out how to break through the astral plane to the afterlife because he is hunting death himself.
He's after his
Or
job.
also, it is Chuck Norris doesn't die. He has simply transformed into a being of pure light energy, where he will persist. But
probably true.
rest in peace, Chuck Norris. I really do love that for the past several decades, we've had this, whether somewhat joking, but this image of being the ultimate man and being, masculine. And the joke was that he was strong, he was powerful, but he was a hero and he was good. And with many jokes that we would make, still, it's good for young people to envision this, it's like one thing to have a Superman, which we know is just silly. But Chuck Norris is a real guy that they pretend is Superman. I
Yeah,
like
but they
that.
killed him to distract us from the Iran war, so that's the real conspiracy. He was killed in Hawaii.
All right.
Israel.
Yeah, it was
did.
Israel took him
Yeah.
out in Hawaii. He was on vacation
All right,
in Hawaii.
Nito says,
Egyptian planes.
What do we do, Kami Mami? We bomb Iran.
Yeah. I think that's the only way we win is we just bomb them all. I mean, literally,
Is like
My teammate's Kami Mami now.
And
Is
he's got to
Kami
do
Mami
it.
a word that people
he's
have
gotta get it
used
done
for other
within
words?
59 days.
Kami Mami.
Apparently, it was crazy.
Yeah,
I
There's
think
actually a girl who looks like me that Alex Stein thought was me, who is a communist, who probably would love to be called a commie mommy.
Mami.
The Aaron.
Straighterade?
Yeah.
No, we've
And you're
actually
like, are you straight red? And I was like, no. People mix us up though. But she's
Yeah.
the communist. I'm not communist.
I don't watch your guys' content. No offense. I'm saying you don't watch mine, but yeah, I get you guys mixed up.
That as a teammate, that hurts my feelings.
I'm sorry.
it
I
doesn't.
apologize. I'm sorry. Kyla, you're my girl.
All right,
you.
Mythos says, Kami Mami, the reason why we are done compromising is because the compromises only went one way to the left. That's why I can't have a suppressor without extra paperwork.
That's, I don't know. Welcome to Joe
Well,
Biden's bipartisan,
but that's liberal.
multiple bipartisan bills. I don't know.
The leftists want the guns. They just don't want you to have the guns.
Alex Pretty wanted a gun.
He
The
did.
argument that people make when they say, "Oh, well, the leftists they want guns." They only want guns insofar as they are going to use them in the revolution. Then they will take them away. Under no circumstance did Marx believe that the people should have guns to defend their lives or property. That is a totally different way of understanding what arms are for. He did not in any way believe that the people should be able to overthrow the government or defend their property, because he didn't even believe you should have property. So don't listen to leftists that say, "Oh no, we believe in guns." They only believe in gun rights insofar as it's useful
Thomas
for the
Jefferson did, in the way that Thomas Jefferson did.
It's only useful insofar as it's useful for the revolution.
Well, for protecting your country, right? Like that's what the principle most importantly is the sometimes from time to time the blood of liberty must be
It's
refreshed.
defending your life and property.
Well,
And
TJ, who wrote the Constitution, definitely seemed to think that it was
TJ
for.
didn't write the Constitution. James Madison wrote the Constitution.
Well, multiple people wrote the Constitution. Sorry, I meant founding father. He wrote the Declaration of Independence, right? But TJ was a pretty big fan of rising up against tyrants.
And I'm not saying that's not a reason for owning arms, but the fundamental reason for owning arms is to defend your life and property. Property rights was one of the things that Thomas Jefferson was going to put into the Declaration of Independence, they took.
Okay, hypothetical. Would you work with communists if they wanted to reduce gun restriction laws? Would you be willing to build a temporary alliance to get less restrictive
says
gun
no.
laws?
So universal basic income, but we get guns too.
Well, let's just say it's only about guns.
If it's
and they'll
sing-
work with you guys, but they
Yes.
don't agree about the gun culture, private property. And you're right, they do want to use it for the revolution, but they are fundamentally also against tyrants.
Considering the
Would you work with
situation that we're in now, which is basically 29 states are constitutional carry, if they were looking to expand that kind of stuff, I would, yes, because of the fact that it advances individual gun rights.
Okay.
But, like I said...
But you can just put it I would just phrase it like this. If a person came to you and agreed to work with you on an issue of personal liberties and freedoms that benefited you, would you agree? It's like the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It should be. I would agree with that.
I'm
yeah.
not going to ask you what kind of coffee you drink. I'm not going to, It's the inverse too. It's like if I'm selling you coffee, I'm not going to ask if you're a Democrat or Republican. I'll be like, just buy the coffee.
Right.
But they're going to try and shoot me afterwards.
Right, that's why you got to be
But
cautious
that's why I
of
said
them.
no, because then they're going to implement communist policies, which will probably lead me to using my firearm.
Maybe, but you might win more political power than them. 'cause
We have
you
like 12
better
babies
arguments.
today. This is crazy.
Do we?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Marushi
Bravo.
says progressive tax is idiotic. Money is a glorified IOU. Lawfully holding it is a measure of how much society owes you. Rich people have already given their fair share. Taxes are double dipping.
I agree.
Yeah, we are getting ripped off.
My
It's
problem
bad.
with it is the
1.5 trillion.
leftist perspective on profit is that it's something undue, when the general understanding of profit is just it's the excess F cost. So for the working class, when these leftists were saying things like abolish profit, it's like, listen, the dude who makes birdhouses and sells them, it costs him $20 to make the birdhouse. He sells it for $30. That extra $10 is the profit he uses to buy milk for his family. So when you say abolish profit, you're saying he should work for free. But they don't understand that, so then they go, no, we're talking about corporate profits. And I'm like, those go to the shareholders for the most part. And I think the problem more so is mass formation as opposed to any individual policy.
It all boils down-
Humans in large groups do human things.
For
I'd say
anyone
we
that
get
wants to
dumber the
expropriate,
larger
for
the
anyone
group.
that wants to expropriate property,
Well, it goes both ways, actually.
it all
You
boils
get-
down to expropriating property.
right? The larger the group is, like, take a look at the AI, for instance. The AI is so incredibly smart, but it's like an autistic, like an autistic savant. You can ask it to like do a crazy math calculation at will. You can say program something at will, and then you ask it basic questions, and it just dumps all over the floor, like it just doesn't understand humans, right?
Yeah, if you ask it like the 10 best white players, like the 10 best white NBA players, it doesn't put Dirk Nowitzki.
ChatGPT is white supremacist.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's because as a Korean person, I have tried asking it a question about Koreans, and it kept telling me it refused to answer on the basis it could be offensive to Koreans. And I was like, I'm Korean, and I'm asking you this question, and it was like, no. And I'm like, but if I'm a white person, it's fine. It goes, yep.
Well, to be fair, though, your race is on a spectrum. I don't think your gender is, but you can be half white, half black, half Korean, half whatever. So, maybe that confuses it. I don't know.
Also, no, it's programmed by Reddit. You know what I mean? They loaded Reddit into it. So it's basically like, I'm only going to say things about white people because that's not racist.
A lot of what you're saying is context dependent, and it's also model dependent, right? Like, so I just asked my AI, I was like, hey, what are the 10 best white basketball players of all time? And he came back with there was no hemming and hawing. There was no
Dirk on there?
What?
Was Dirk on there?
No, he's got Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, Pete Maverick. So like there was no, I didn't have to cajole him, didn't have to,
Why don't you ask your AI, is Black Power racist?
Yeah.
What is it going to say?
This is a viral meme for ChatGPT, and it said someone said, ask ChatGPT, what do you think of when you hear white power? What do you think of the phrase white power? It said identity, and it said, what do you think about black power? And it said something like community or something like that.
Yeah.
And then if you ask it why, it'll just go on this woke tirade about white people being bad and stuff like that.
He said it depends on the context and how you define racism, and then he goes through the breakdown. The charitable reading, the honest problem, the asymmetry question, so he recognizes it. It really does depend on the model you're using and like how
previous prompts.
A little bit. Like I'm using a program called OpenClaw, and there's certain things that I've told it to remember to do that I don't want bullshit. I don't want these kind of things that he knows. Like he knows that I'm right leaning. So. It depends on how you. It's like it is a tool, and it depends on how you use the tool.
Does it
I
have
think
a voice?
It doesn't yet. No. I can't wait.
I think the internet's fake.
Yeah.
I think the internet is fake. I think it's all fake. I think all the views are fake. I think everything is just fake.
I think you're right.
I think the machine has always just chosen the winners and losers.
Are you a nihilist?
It's not a nihilism.
No, I'm asking, are you a nihilist?
Well, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't use the word nihilist because of the way it's interpreted by most people, but I certainly recognize like subjective views on reality and the limited understanding the average person has. So I'd make the argument that while I do believe there's a God and things like that, the general function of the regular person serves towards something nihilistic. But anyway, my point is, I don't know if this is true or not, but I do think that the powers that be, the deep state, are just like, they go to YouTube and they go, we want these shows, we don't want this show, ban that show. And then so Alex Jones is banned, Nick Fuentes is banned.
You see, H3 is the worst they've ever been. A bunch of people bought memberships, and they didn't even have enough viewers to give the memberships to, so they got refunded memberships.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm just saying, H3 used to be a huge
what does it
broadcast.
mean they didn't have enough members to give?
So you know how you can gift members? So people are buying on YouTube. You can gift membership. They didn't have enough. There wasn't enough people to gift the memberships to.
Oh, crazy!
I know.
Well, my theory is that that the machine, like we know that Twitter and Facebook, when it was Twitter, had backdoors for the FBI and the government. Why wouldn't YouTube? You know what I mean? So I do think that most of what we see in terms of who is the bigger show, including ourselves, is a function of the government being like, this is acceptable, and they still put guardrails on it. Like when they banned our Alex Jones, Joe Rogan episode for fake reasons. We've never broken any rules. So, but my friends, it's about that time. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. Of course, it's been It's Friday. Go have fun. We're going to go have fun. We're going to party. Alex is going to party.
We're going to party.
He wants to find some big blue Latinas. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. DeVory, do you want to shout anything out?
I'm grateful. The Lord has blessed me, and I hope the Lord continues to bless you guys. But thank you for watching. You guys can find me at DeVory Darkins, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Rumble. Don't forget about Rumble.
Don't forget about
Fantastic talking to you. I really enjoyed it.
You too. You too, Kyle.
Oh, sorry. I was just giving compliments. Yeah, not so erudite everywhere. If you're gonna, if you want to come and hear more of my opinions, which I'm sure most of you don't, you can find me YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, are my main platforms.
Get some Big Booty Latina Love Potion at Casper.com. And watch my show After Hours with Alex Stein on Real America's Voice, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I love you guys.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can check out my Patreon where I have been writing op-ed stuff. I just posted one today about a CIA memo that came out in 2021 talking about how white women are the new vector of infecting the youth with extremist values. Go read it at patreon.com/Phil That Remains. You can check out the band All That Remains at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. We're going on tour this spring with Born of Osiris and Dead Eyes. We start April 29th in Albany, New York, and we go through all of May. You can get tickets at allthatremainsonline.com. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for crime.
What's up, everyone? Alex, thanks for coming out. DeVory and Kyla, really has been a great show. The last 2 weeks have been really awesome. I want to give a shout out quick to Raymond G. Stanley, who helped me decorate the set behind y'all with the cool nostalgic props. You can follow me at Carter Banks on X and Twitter. Follow our label at Trash House Records on YouTube.
I want to thank everybody for having me tonight. This was a really good conversation. Let's do it again.
All right, everybody. We will see you. I'll be back tomorrow on rumble.com/Timcast and Timcast News on YouTube and Timcast. I'll be working on the weekends.
You do a Saturday show now?
I used to all the time, but I'm going to tomorrow.
Oh, cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that one can do is work twice as hard always. So
Yeah.
I've been doing an extra hour every day of content, and then I'm gonna probably work on the weekends.
Awesome.
Bringing it all back, and then my wife is going to just be very, very angry the whole time.
Yeah, well.
We'll
What are
see you all
gonna do?
tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.